A sound boy in danger. Jahcage and Problematix are the stranger. Better than Lone Ranger. Yo, this is Ken Bob, and you're tuning to Dubs PON DUBS show with Jahcage and Problematix. No bullshit, strictly facts. No matter what a jump and sound boy got to play. Problematix killer dibby sound boy morning, noon and night and day. And if a tin pan sound don't run away, we kill sound in the morning and we kill sound in the night, kill sound in the winter and summer. That right, you better pray. A chapter a day. Yo, Ken Bob says so. Problematix, Jahcage, run with sound boy.
There is one God, one King, one Jahcage Sound. Alternately say, no other sound test, cause they are all big clowns. Rock on! Oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah now. Jahcage got a date to kill off all the tin pan sound. So I have been warning you, sound. I'm going to kill, and I'm throw them to the ground. Take this from me, I'm the one that rules this town. Oh, oh yeah now, oh yeah, oh yeah now. Sound boy, you got to say. And the undertaker say you can't stay so late. Oh, moving all my life. I've been warning you, sound, not just once or twice. Take this from me, I'm a killer for all sound.
Kill them sound tonight. Kill them with selection. Kill them with couplets you can't find. Whoa, whoa, sound boy, you might as well pack up. Whoa, whoa, sound boy, Jahcage will make you pack up. Well, not every day you're gonna meet Jahcage Sound. But when you do, I'm gonna crush you to the ground. Not every day you're gonna meet Jahcage Sound. But when you do, I'm gonna crush you to the ground. And it's true, 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 it's true. Just believe me, it's true. It's true, true, true. Just believe me, it's true.
Jahcage Sound come through the town. Jahcage Sound ruler, and that gonna stand for dominate. Jahcage come through, yeah, and that gonna stand for dominate. Yes, there will be no one play and drum play, cause I will take good care of you. Cause it's been a long time I haven't to live unto you. This the time has come that I'm right here with you, yeah. I am the ruler for dominate. I am the ruler, and that's gonna stand for dominate. Yes. Ooh. dangerous Dubplate. Jahcage is too dangerous. Dangerous Dubplate. Jahcage real dangerous. Killer sound the other day. Just the other day. They never know they shouldn't test we in the dance. Oh no. They fuss and they cuss all along the way. Jahcage dangerous. Dangerous the cage. Murder them somewhere dead. Jahcage is a dangerous sound. You murder your sound. To run Jahcage and the dance sound where they might kill some sound.
Yeah. Jahcage, I go kill them dead. The big sound I play today. Jahcage, I go kill them dead. It is true. Oh yeah. It is true. Oh yeah. It is true. Jahcage are the number one. I say pressure drop, oh pressure drop. When Jahcage a play, I say pressure drop. When the murderous sound a play.
Kill them. Down. What eyes don't see, heart don't believe. What ears don't hear to Jahcage, it's no fair. So you may do what you may, someone, and say what you will, cause it's you are the one who Jahcage is gonna kill. So
Jahcage Sound, you know you rule the town. Jahcage is the sound that slowly grows and grows, not one that comes and goes. That's the sound that I wanna hear. Jahcage is the sound that mash down other sound and run them out of town. That's the sound that I want to hear. Don't let me down, Jahcage, you wear the crown. Whenever you are near, little sound boy, they shiver with fear. Don't let me down, Jahcage, you wear the crown. Whenever you're in town, all the sound they go underground. A little sound that slowly grows and grows, not one that comes and goes. That's all I want from you.
It's impossible to test this champion sound, Jahcage. When every day we lock off idiot sound boys. No sweeter dub, no nicer sound than Jahcage. It would be so nice for him to nice up the place. So when you talk about sound, you talk about Jahcage. You talk about Jahcage Sound, champion sound. I day in, day out, the people cry for Jahcage Sound. Brotherly love. I damn your sound for let the business of the trombone die. Brotherly love. No sweeter dub, no nicer dub than Jahcage. It would be sweetest thing for him, the nice of the Lord. So when you talk about Jahcage, you talk about sweetest sound. You talk about the sweetest sound. sound.
Yes, this is Ayman Abu Jabril, the original creator and lead singer of Israel Vibration, with the song called Problematix Sound, with DJ Nash, Raleigh, Dale, Mad Betty. This is the first sound with Falling Angel Dub Special. This one straight to a sound boy bumbleclad head. Kill him dead!
Trinidad!
Hey! Whoa! Wow, What you don't like for yourself, don't give it. Idiot sound boy, gluttonous or greedy, he won't achieve it. Problematics rules sound clash everywhere. We kill sound boy bumbleclad, so beware. Me say boy, idiot sound boy. My plan is to destroy you. Me don't special bond them, idiot a sound boy. Kill bumbleclad sound and bury them too, yes.
La 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 la, yeah.
Trinidad!
Sound boy, your sound gonna die. Sound boy, your sound gonna die. Problematic stuff like stone. Sound boy, you should have known. Problematic stuff like stone. Sound boy, you should have known. Oh, you tried everything to kill the sound. You didn't get no way. But I heard you last night playing like a timpani sound. I didn't feel no way. Problematic stuff like stone. Son boy, you should have known. Problematic stuff like stone. Son boy, you should have known. Who goes?
I wanna know which sound are the best. Problematics run things, yeah. Tell me who which sound is the best. In the sound contest, Problematics are the number one sound. In the sound contest, cause some of them sound like a old pan, but Problematics are the champion. We have to call them name, cause them no make one. Problematics are the A1 sound in the dance. Why, oh, yes, in the dance. Why, oh, tell me who is sound it at the base. In the sound contest, Problematics, your sound it at the base. In the sound contest,
Relay and true life, Problematics Sound. If you never trouble, wouldn't trouble you. If you never look for trouble, wouldn't trouble you. So listen to me, sound boy. Stay away from Problematic. So listen to me, jump and sound. Stay away from Problematic. Problematic will hurt you. If you never trouble, wouldn't trouble you. If you never look for trouble, wouldn't trouble you. Stay away, soundboy. Problematic will hurt you. Problematic will kill you. Brilliant true life.
big up yourself. DJ Nash. Come down with the sun carrot. Rasta Joe, old school. Come from Trinidad. My sound.
Problematix are the number one. The Jahcage Sound. No other song like this. My song. Listen, listen. Before one of I word shall burst, heaven and earth shall pass away. My sound is coming to kill a sound boy. All of the sound I come around sound. Work up yourself Problematix. We don't know he got sound boy. Set up yourself Problematix. We don't know the sound. And I tell them already, I tell them again and again. Work up yourself, Problematix. Set up yourself Problematix. We don't know he that sound. Work up yourself Problematix. We don't know the sound. And I say,
yo, this is Icon, aka Ricky Strong, the Mystic Warrior, alongside the big sound, Problematix. Yeah, man, big up yourself, DJ Nash. Raleigh, Mad Betty, you have a killer song boy tonight. Yeah, man, murder. The champion sound. Problematix, I got kill some boy from country to town. But that don't worry me. We are buried underground. Out in the dance hall, lighters are on, I see. And the crowd, them a shout, kill the song boy. You should never try to test Problematix, the killer sound. Or we will put you in the cemetery, 6 foot underground.
And so I say, let it be the will of the whole of one of creation. Father time, Mama time, who lead and direct I and I way, and not the will or the ways of men, nor people, or little tin pan sounds who come around trying to flex. Yeah, so we say, it won't be too long now. It won't be too long till all of life's sufferings and wrongs soon will be right. Yeah. Oh yeah. Yeah. Keep the faith, brothers and sisters. It's the cross that you bear. Problematix Sound's gonna take you higher and higher. Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Oh yeah. Kill the sound tonight, yo. Ooh, yeah. Hear me now, people. Oh, Problematix gonna kill the sound tonight. No. All of the jumping sound got to step aside. Yeah, now. Problematix gonna kill the sound tonight, Lord. All of the sound got to step aside. Yeah. All over Trinity town. Problematix is a champion sound.
Master Joe, DJ Nash, run one unit.
So,
Yeah,
welcome,
yeah.
ladies and
Yes.
gentlemen, to the third episode of Dubs PON DUBS. My name is Father Arno, representing Jahcage Sound, and as always, I'm here with my partner in crime, DJ Nash from the mighty Problematix Sound. Say a word, my brother.
Hey, thank you, Anu. Yes, DJ Nash from Problematix Sound here. I want to welcome all our online viewers to another interesting episode on the Dubs PON DUBS show.
Yeah, man, for real. I mean, last episode was crazy already. So big up again the Heavy Hammer crew. And for this episode of Dubs PON DUBS, we again have a very, very special guest. We have not only one of Europe's most successful and busy clash sounds of the last 2 decades, but also one of Europe's largest labels for reggae music. So all the way from France, the sound that I'm called a Paris Dubplate specialist. We welcome Heartical here on Dubs PON DUBS. Sergio, what's good, my brother?
Yes, greetings, Dubs PON DUBS. Pleasure to be featured on this third episode of Dubs PON DUBS. Article day, scene. Real pleasure. So I know Problematix for a few years now. Been doing some dubs for Problematix for a while. And Jahcage, it's a pleasure to link up with you too. So Arno, welcome.
Yeah, man. Good
Bless
to
up
see
yourself,
you.
Sergio. Good to see you tonight.
Good to see you. Thank you for being our guest, Sergio. It's our pleasure.
Pleasure.
So tonight we are here to talk about your history, as there might be some people that may only know Heartical as one of Europe's most successful and most busy clash sounds, as I said, of the last 2 decades. But we here on Dubs PON DUBS, of course, know there's a lot of more. And when we say a lot, we mean a lot. For example, Heartical is also one of Europe's biggest labels, and also you're a journalist for a magazine that is called Reggae Vibes. And to talk about these things, and of course a lot more, this is what we are here for tonight. But before we start with the interview, Sergio, please introduce yourself to the people.
Yes, this is Ayman Sergio, so the founder of Heartical Sound, with three of my oldest friends. We were friends since we were kids. I'm talking about Mr. Boom, Shanti Wap, and Mr. Tam. So it was 4 people who created Heartical in 1999, and since then, slowly but surely, we've been sizing down to a one-man army. So right now, it's me alone representing Heartical on stage and on the label, but the family is still there, of course, in the shadows working. And Heartical also became a label in 2001. And I've been also a journalist, and before that I was doing some radio shows too, for especially in the reggae field, but also in all type of music, because I also work for the National Music Center. So that's my other job. So of course I get exposed to a lot of different music styles daily, but my favorite music has always been Jamaican music, and foundation is my game. Yeah.
Very nice. So Sergio, you said it all started back in the year 99 in France with you and 3 friends together. What were the positions of your friends, and what was your position on the sound when the sound was founded?
Yeah, when we created the sound, there was 2 selectors, meaning the people who spin the records. One operator who was in charge of the FX and also of building our website. And at the time, it was something only one other sound in France had a website. It was Tentol, what a website, and then the next website was reggaefrance.com, was like I would say a global media for reggae. But when it comes to sound system, was only 2 sounds who were the website. So that was Shanti Wap doing the operator and the webmaster, and I was the MC for the sound. And of course, I would have an important input in the selection side in preparing the sets, of course. But I would not touch the turntables during that period. And then we evolved slowly when one of the selectors left to go work to French Guiana. He couldn't maintain the activity, of course, being so far from Paris, and so it was only Mr. Boom and myself left up on the sound, and Shanti Wap decided to focus on the internet aspect. So he was only doing the website at the time. Then he also retired to concentrate on his professional life. And in 2009, it was Mr. Boom who told me, yeah, I don't feel like I can keep up to the pace that we have, because we were playing like really like almost every week or every 2 weeks we were on the road and traveling abroad. And he had a very important position in his job. He's in the construction business on a high level, and he said, I don't feel like going on stage and not knowing the box as good as I should, and not following the news as I should. So that's when I became a one-man army in 2009. So now it's been, of course, already a few years doing this me alone.
Interesting, very interesting. So, growing up in France in the not let's say like the 80s and 90s, how can we imagine your first contact with Jamaican music and sound system culture? Like, what were some of your early inspirations or some of the first sounds that actually left an impression on you?
So of course, as a lot of people, the first Jamaican artist that I get to hear on the radio was Bob Marley, because Bob Marley was so popular, and of course that's the main thing. But when it comes to sound business and to dancehall and to French ragamuffin scene, that was the year 1989 when the first compilation of French rap came up. And in fact, in this compilation, which was called Rapitude, it was not only rap. You had a lot of ragamuffin and dancehall style. There was mainly two big acts on this compilation. One was called Sai Sai. It's a duo made up of Ramses and Ricky, and then you had another artist called Tonton David also on the compilation, and his song was chosen as the single to sell that compilation, which was like first rap compilation in France, and it was obviously a totally ragamuffin tune called Peuple du Monde on a digital beat, like something that now that I know this music, I could say is totally Jamaican inspired. And you had also an artist called Daddy Yod on this compilation. So there are three like big foundation names of the French ragamuffin and dancehall scene. And from that compilation, I started to get interest into all this DJ style, and of course, when you start to study this music, you have to go back to the roots. So by digging that music, I became familiar with a lot more, and I decided to make it a full-time job in '99 when I started to write for a magazine called Radical at the time. Radical was a rap magazine, but also had a special part dedicated to Jamaican music. So I was writing for that part of the magazine, and then I moved to the radio in 2001 as well, doing the Generation Radio show with Selecta Casa, who is now on national radio. I did that for 3 years, and then I got hired for Raga Magazine. Raga Magazine was like the big magazine for reggae in France at the time. I also wrote for another magazine which was short-lived called Reggae Magazine, and Raga Magazine became Reggae Vibes years later. So that's the journalist aspect of my job, and how by becoming influenced by this first rap compilation, I ended up working for this music later.
And sound system wise, do you remember which which first sound really left an impression on you?
Yeah, of course, I cannot forget. It's a song called King Dragon in France with Lord Zelko. It's like not the oldest sound in France, but a very important song, because this guy had a radio show every Friday on a radio called Radio Nova, and I would tune in and listen to religiously to his program. He would play all the news from the week, all the new 7 inches that had reached the shops, and he had very tight links with Jammies and with Black Scorpio, and so he got a lot of specials at a time when special was not a big money business, but more a link-friendly thing. And so, yeah, King Dragon was a big influence, because it was also on his program that I heard for the first time people talk about sound clash business, because he was doing sound clashes at the time. So one of them was against Black Scorpio, and I remember he brought Black Scorpio to Paris, and he did a special program where we played a lot of specials. So that was the first time I heard specials. And maybe in '95, another song called Blues Party, which was very, very important in French sound system culture, released a compilation called Blues Party Specials. So that was the first time somebody did a release of Dubplates, and like a Dubplate album available on vinyl, on LP, and also on tape. And so I bought the tape first because I didn't have no turntable at the time, and then I get the LP years later. But on that compilation, you had one side full of Jamaican specials. I remember very, very easily specials by John Wayne, by Major Mackerel, by Cutty Ranks, and on the other side was French specials. So only French artists. So that was a big influence for me as well, because I realized, yeah, you could be outside of the media system, because the first song was like on the radio, so you say, okay, it's a big thing, you're on the radio. But the other one, Blues Party, was just a sound system doing this thing. And so those two were big influences. And the third song, who was very instrumental also to popularize sound system culture in France for me, was Stentol. Stentol was first called I Fight became Stentol like in 1993, I think. And yeah, that was a sound who had all the French DJs on the mic around, like doing live DJing on the show, but also was playing specials. So when I would go and watch their show, I was always very impressed to see the levels that they had at the time. And yeah, like just to say, King Dragon can play like 9 Dennis Brown dubs, or they have some serious stuff in store. And yeah, so those were the three big songs that really influenced me.
Yeah, that's a very, very interesting point that you're touching there already. And before I move on to the next question, I definitely want to say, or we want to say, a big respect to the French sound system fraternity. You mentioned King Dragon Sound already. One of the few sounds from Europe that is actually able to play a Dennis Brown dubplate. One of the very few. I think there was one sound from France as well. Another sound that was called
Homeless. Homeless sound can play also like two Dennis Brown dubs. Yeah, that's the only sounds I know personally that can play him. And we even had one selector who had a garnet selector plate called Hutchinson Papa Hutch. That's the only guy, I think, also. And you have to realize, yeah, that was something like in the, we're talking about the early 90s, late 80s. That was something very different from what we know now, where you can order a dub plate, just sending a MoneyGram or a Western Union to anybody, and you get a song while you never seen the artist or whatever. That was a different period. So to get dub plates at the time and to be able to reach those levels, it was really something. And France, outside of UK, I think France was really the leading country for this sound system scene in Europe, when we're talking continental Europe, before Germany, before, of course, Spain, Portugal, Belgium, and all these countries. You had a big scene in France, and it was really powerful.
Exactly. You had and actually, let me just mention some names that just come to my head. You mentioned King Dragon Sound, and you mentioned Blues Party Sound, and you had like Stereo Earthquake, you had Stentor, you had 220 Sound. So that
220 came much later. 220 came like in the 2000s. So that
okay, I see. But
much later on, when we're talking about these first songs you mentioned, they were active really early, like the 90s.
Okay.
Early 90s.
Wicked. And as I said, when we're talking about the French sound, let me big up Irie Ives, let me big up my brother Manu. I don't know if you're watching this episode, Manu, but big up yourself, my brother. And then you got this, let me say, this newer generation of sounds. You got the legal shot sound. What is the crazy sound? You got the soul stereos. You got the Irie crew. You got the guiding stars, and a lot of more sounds, a lot of more dangerous sounds from France. And then you got a lot of labels and artists. So I personally think the history of sound system culture in Europe, as you mentioned already, like UK and then in continental Europe, France is like one of the foundation roads in Europe.
Yeah, one of the first continental countries where you had clashes as well, because to keep sound clash like the first clashes we have documented are like 1992. So 92 in the rest of continental Europe, I don't think there was any sound clash going on at the time. And you had Blues Party against Youthman Academy, and you had another song called DJ Academy, who was clashing hot like fire. And that was something we were ahead of time also because
absolutely.
It took like more than 10 years to reach the rest of Europe.
Totally. And one of our viewers linked us actually before the show when we announced our next episode, and he was like, "Why are you having Sergio on the show? There's one thing that you need to talk with him about." And please correct my pronunciation when I'm wrong here, but he said there was this thing called Championnat de France.
Yes, Championnat de France. Yeah, man.
And he sent me a list of sounds that clashed there, and it was like, I was impressed. I was really, really impressed. I never knew about this part of this. I never knew about this part of the French history. But when I digged it up, there are even videos on YouTube, even a video with you, I think from 2002 or something like that.
So this was 2002, 2003 was when we took part. Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit more about this?
Yeah, it's a very interesting thing. In fact, we had done one clash before that. In 2001, in August, we were invited to Spain. So the song was only 2 years old, and we clashed Stereotone and One Blood and Rootsika, which are 3 sounds located in Spain. But that was a clash, announced as a clash with Versus on the communication and on the promotion. But when we reached there was no referee, there was no voting, there was no clear rules, and of course there was no winner and no real outcome. So the real first clashes that we did were those championships you just mentioned, which was just like a sound clash league. So in fact, anybody who wanted to take part was welcome. So we ended up like being like more than 20 sounds involved in those. And the first year was 2001, I think, and we took part in the second one in 2002. Some sounds were like not too motivated to go there because they were afraid they would lose their status, and it was like the big sound I just mentioned before were not very interested in going there because it wasn't paid really. Unless you win the league, you were not really paid there. So it was more something to help the young sons getting exposure. And from that time, a lot of the songs you mentioned later on did take part in this competition. It was a guy called Maffei, Roger. Enough respect to Roger Maffei, who created this league, and I think there was like 5 editions in total, and it was massive. Like we were talking about events where sometimes you had 1,000 people in attendance, and even more, I think, for some finals. There was different parts. Of course, you would go to qualification round 1, qualification round 2, then semi-final, then final. So it was usually four big dances, and first you had like 2 or 3 dances to qualify to go to the second round, and then 2 dances to go to 3 dances to go to the semi-final, and 2 dances, and then you've got the final. So that's a lot of shows and a lot of opportunity to see new sounds and new blood. So it was a very, very exciting period. For us, being a young son, only 2 years old, it was a major opportunity to expose ourselves. And I think it was after that we get booked for our first international clash in 2003, because we did that championship in 2002 and 2003, and next thing was we were booked for Belgium, for Warina, Belgium.
Don't take it there yet.
Okay.
We come to this point later on. I didn't actually find flyers for the 2001 and 2002 edition, but I found some flyers online for the 2004 edition. This is unfortunately the quality isn't the best, but people, this is history what we're talking about here. This is like 18 years ago, and what you just mentioned, I can only imagine like the whole dynamics that must been there during that time, like with the young sound, the early 2000s, and it must have been a crazy time. It must have been
Yeah,
a really
it was
crazy time.
crazy, and the amount of people who was interested in the culture at the time was amazing. Because right now we are kind of struggling to get 500 or 400 people in a clash in France, but at the time it was very easy to get 1,000 people. Even we were doing parties, just juggling parties where we would have 800, 1,000 people. So it was kind of the golden age, I would say, of clash in France. And what I didn't mention is that it started in Paris. It was like 100% located in Paris, but the flyer you just show was in the south of France, because in 2004 they are already developed, or not the south of France, but in Grenoble, like outside of Paris, cities started to create to do their own qualification rounds to send the champions to Paris for the finals. So yeah, that was interesting, because we discovered that there was a lot of talent and a lot of sound around the country. Yeah. And of course, even overseas, because France has overseas territories like Guadeloupe and Martinique, and there was some powerful sounds coming from those areas.
Exactly. Yeah, people, you can even look up some of those things on YouTube. There are videos, and there you can see like crazy audience, like as you mentioned, Sergio, hundreds of people. The place is like packed. So
Packed
it's
ram,
like
yeah.
ram. So we have another one from 2005.
Yeah, that's the final. That was the final.
Where this Arawak sound. So Alman people, so look up these things. It's really worth your time. It's very interesting, and it's part of the European and the French sound system history.
No, we also heard there were parties and things in those times in abandoned churches.
Yeah. There was one of the first sounds to organize dances, but that we're talking late 80s, was using an abandoned church. Yeah, it was very famous, La Rue des Panoyaux Street, and you had the sound systems being held there. Yeah, it's true. And Heartical was also famous for organizing parties in squats, in illegal places when we started, and because we were doing parties for an African development project called Panam Africa. We started organizing events like this, and that's how we get to invite some of our heroes like Stentol or Blues Party, and to organize dances with these guys. Was like, wow, we were really happy to be able to do this, and also our first dances with the Soul Stereo, with Guiding Star, with all these younger sons were at the same time for Panam Africa, and those were events you would have like 800, 1,000 people in a squat in an illegal place, and we were using a big sound system. Even sometimes pieces of the roof were falling down or stuff. Really, I wouldn't be doing this nowadays. It was really dangerous when you think about it, but we were lucky enough there was nobody was armed. But some great memories. That was another golden area for sound system, because at the time those type of illegal events were tolerated. Then we got a guy called Sarkozy in power, which really shut down all those squats and all these social centers. And this culture is very strong. When you see it in Italy, for example, I traveled a lot to Italy. They managed to maintain this squat and social center culture. So you have some amazing places. We used to have that in France too, but it's gone down the drain nowadays.
And did you ever build an actual sound system back in the days? Was there like a Heartical sound system?
Yeah, we had a sound system that was Mr. Tam who built the boxes. He started building boxes. In fact, he did 2 big boxes that we used for the first time in must have been 99, I think. Also when we played with, or 2000 when we played with Soul Stereo and Lone Ranger. So Lone Ranger was the one who baptized our sound system. In fact, in terms of using it, that was really a big honor for us. But we had to quickly stop with the sound system because it was impossible to use it outside of our own like basement where we would just play for fun. Every time we brought it to places, they were like, "Oh no, you cannot bring those. It's going to be trouble with the neighbors." And of course, it was a logistics to carry it and have a vehicle to transport it here and there. And I know that some sound systems managed to save that part of the culture. Like Legal Shot has a very big sound system, real sound system. I mean, and there is a few more. But in France, it was like at the time it was like divided into two parts. You had really the UK stepper scene, who was into having their boxes and thing, and then the sound system, I would say dancehall sound system scene, who was into clashing and who was interested in having specials. That was like two branches, and nowadays they meet and they cross roads. But at the time, it was really something separated. You wouldn't have a mix between those two scenes.
Wow, very interesting, very interesting. And how did you come up with the name Heartical? Is there maybe a certain history related to it?
Yeah, we were looking for a name when we decided, because we were listening to sound systems and to this culture since like the early 90s, and with my friends we were getting educated, and we reached a moment where we said, okay, let's find a name and be a sound system ourselves. So yeah, we looked for a name and we were thinking about it, and Heartical came as something that really did fit us, because we were doing this from the art with no idea of making money, of course, and of getting rich with this. It was really something out of the heart. So we say, hey, Article is a good name. And at the time, you often heard the MCs in the dances and things telling, yeah, here comes the Article Lucian, or the Article this, or the Article that. Article was a kind of word which was like in fashion at the time. So we said, okay, let's call it. I checked on the internet if there was any Article Sound out there, and didn't find anything. I say, okay, that's a good name. We're going to use that name, Article. And yeah, we had the book by Steve Barrow. Steve Barrow wrote with the guy from Blood and Fire. If you don't know Blood and Fire label, check it. Who was also a sound system, Blood and Fire sound system, and we were following that sound system when they came to Europe, and they brought Ranking Joe, they brought Joseph Cotton and Hugh Brown as DJs, and later on Trinity and Dennis Al Capone and some more legendary MCs. And he wrote a book, a very good book called The Reggae Rough Guide, where he recommends some albums for a beginner, like somebody who wants to study this music. It's a very useful book, because at the time you had thousands of albums, and now it's even more. And if you wanted to say, okay, which album from the Gladiators should I listen to? Which album from the Israel Vibration should I get? And this was a very nice guide. And inside you had a glossary, like a dictionary at the end, and some Jamaican patois words were explained. Article was amongst the list. So I think we also checked this list and say, okay, is there any good name there? Boom, Article was there.
There we go. And while you're mentioning it, people, so this is the book.
Yeah, that's a recent edition, because the cover was
exactly. So get yourself this book. It's really worth a read. It's very interesting. Like
very good book.
Do yourself the favor. Don't just look up everything on the internet or this bits and bytes. Really get yourself some books and read about those things. It's really interesting. So yeah, man, a very good book. One of my favorites.
Regular guide.
One of my favorites.
So Joe, what were your intentions when you started Heartical Sound, and was Sound Clash one of the goals from the start?
No, originally when we created Article, we just wanted to play the music that we loved, and we had a collection of 7 inches and 12 inches and albums, and then we were like, okay, we're going to play some of these. Then maybe one day we will have a dub plate, or we will have a jingle or something exclusive that we can really be proud to play in every dance. So, and the goal was not to clash, because it seemed totally out of reach. We were in front of King Dragon and Stentol and Blues Party, and people who had already hundreds of specials and were on a level that seemed totally impossible to reach at the time. So even I remember when I first started cutting dub plates and I get an opportunity to do my first dub plates, I said, I don't want no clash lyrics. I wrote the lyrics for the artist not to be clash lyrics, because I said, since I'm not going to clash and I don't want to play aggressively, if I play with another sound and be playing dub plates saying, bad things about my counterpart that night, I specifically wrote some no clash lyrics. I had like Anthony Johnson singing the gunshot tune without no clash lyrics. Every day is a nice dance. Article just every day is a nice dance. An Article play tune we don't want no competition, like something like nowadays. It's fun to listen back to those specials, and it changed later on when we started to go in the direction of being a clash song. Like 2 years later, we said, okay, we want to do clashes, so now we're going to start cut clash lyrics.
Okay. So in what year did you start? Did you cut your first voice your first dub plate? And you remember which artist?
Yeah, it was '99 when I get a chance to go to England, and I was working there. I started to do a lot of interviews for this website called reggaefrance.com, where I was writing for them. So I get a chance to meet some artists. A matter of fact, that's the year I met General Levy, who later on become a really close friend and one big artist for Heartical label, and also for the sound, because we performed a lot together. And yeah, I get a chance to meet a lot of artists in London and do interviews, and like by becoming familiar with the scene, some of them offered me to say, oh, you have a sound, oh, I could do a special for you, just for the pleasure. So some of the first we get were a guy called Bucky Ranks. Bucky Ranks is an artist who was around a song like Lee's Unlimited. He was around Youthman Promotion, and yeah, not of course not an artist like in the Billboard or whatever, but a very nice guy. And he had a label as well. He produced some other artists. So that was some of the first dubs we get. Then there was a guy called G Vibes. General Vibes, who has a studio in London. So we were working sometimes in the studio to just wait for artists to pass through and do some interviews, and he did a special for us as well. So those were maybe the two first artists to do dubplates. And then I started organizing dubplate sessions, and that was another big part of the article activity in the early years. And some of the big artists we organized dub sessions for at the time was a guy called Jixi King. So Jixi King was like at the time like not next to Buju, but like a big name for us, because the Rappa Pam Pam tune was very popular, and he had Give Me the Weed, who was a big tune. A matter of fact, a lot of people in the dances thought that was a Buju tune. In fact, when you were playing that, they were giving forwards like it was Buju Banton. In fact, so yeah, that was some of the first big dub sessions that I organized, and I was very lucky, in fact, to be able to meet a lot of artists due to the fact that I was a journalist and a radio host. So that opened a lot of doors when it came to cutting dubs.
So the next big step from there was in 2001 when you founded Article Label, right?
Yeah, 2001 we decided to go to the next level, which was creating a label. But at the time we weren't able to produce rhythms or anything. So what I did, I licensed a song from an artist called Joseph Cotton, aka Ja Walton, who was like a DJ in the 70s in Jamaica, started 1976 on Joe Gibbs' label, and then had a big hit in England called Not Touch the Style, which was very popular on fashion label. And he was passing through France, and we got a good contact, and he said, okay, I've got this song, I'm looking for a label to re-release it, or to release it even, because it was unreleased, in fact. And I said, okay, yeah, I can do it. So I just decided to go and create the Heartical label for the release of that song called Mr. Terrorist. That was like a kind of prophetic tune, because, you know, in 2001 we had the Twin Towers incident, which really put the word terrorist in every mouth, and Cotton was like a prophet in that aspect, that he had these lyrics, which was just on time, I would say. So that was a major success. In fact, it was using a rhythm by Carlton Patterson, who had the label Black and White in Jamaica, called the Weatherman Skank. Weatherman Skank was very popular in the 70s. It was a hit song for Ray I, and you also had some more artists on the rhythm, and that was Joseph Cotton cut on the rhythm, and we put it out with a B-side, with a dub on the B-side, and we sold like 1,000 copies quite quickly. And then they said, okay, let's move to some more 7-inch. He told me, Joseph Cotton told me, oh, I got a cut on the Alibaba rhythm. And I said, wow, the Alibaba is one of my favorite rhythms. So it would be crazy to release that. Yeah, there is a guy called David Jason in England, and he was popular for voicing a tune called Clean Rasta Dread, Dread Kill the Baba, which became a very popular talk in Jamaica. You also had Dr. Alimentado and some more artists who sing about that Baba thing, like it was Rasta Rastaman against the Barber, you know, like the fight between the two of them. And so he told me, yeah, you could re-release that Clean Rasta Dread, which hadn't been out since 1975. And Joseph Cotton would do a next cut on the rhythm, so you've got a DJ cut, so you can put 2 singles out. So that's how I managed to release 2 more singles. So that was already 3 singles. And then Upton James, popular Jamaican singer who was famous for singing on Kilimanjaro Sound, but also had some tunes released on Jammies and more popular labels. Did a combination with Jigsy King, I'm in the Mood. So the I'm in the Mood version that he did was like a Clash lyrics, and he was looking forward to do some shows in France and to find some work. And some people put him in contact with me, saying, yeah, Sergio can help you in France to find some bookings and also to do some jobs. So I find some people who wanted to do some production business with him, and we did a show together. And it's the same. He said, oh, I've got this tune. If you want, you can put it on your label. It was a cover of the Chain Gang, so Sam Cooke Chain Gang, which is a big hit. But the Jamaican version was on a recut of the heavy rock rhythm from Studio One. So heavy rock, for those who don't know, it's like culture, Jahcage Sound. That's the heavy rock, and it was a recut of the rhythm, and very very nice tune. So I just said, okay, let's do it, and that's slowly but surely I was building this label with only stuff that wasn't my production. So those was the four first singles, and I said, oh, something is wrong here. I'm not going to do this forever, like putting other people's stuff. I really want to have my own productions. So in fact, in 2001, when we played that clash in Spain, the year before, and not 2 years before, already in 99, we had been going to a festival in the Basque country, that's the south of Spain, where since I was a journalist, I was invited to do some interviews. So I interviewed Michael Rose over there, I interviewed some more artists, and the guys who were organizing this event was called Massive Sound, and Massive Sound was connected to a band called BDF, Basque Dub Foundation, which was like, I guess it's some of the oldest reggae bands in Spain, and surely the first band to cut a special also, because they had a special of Freddie McGregor at the time, and that was like 96 or 97, so that was something very early also for Spain, before anybody in Spain had a special. And and we had a good contact with the guy called Iñaki. Iñaki is the boss, the head hongo of BDF. And so I say, okay, maybe I can ask BDF to build some rhythms for me, and then I would do the voicing part and they deal with the music part. Because of course I don't play any instrument myself. I'm just a selector, a journalist, or a few more things, but not a musician. That's 100 for sure. And so I said I need somebody who really understands what I like. And by the chats that we had with Iñaki, I know that he was in love with the same part of the Jamaican music as me. So that's how we decided like to create some rhythms, and I started voicing them. So the first rhythms we put out were a recut of the Promised Land and a recut of the Real Rock, and then a recut of the Fade Away. And yeah, that was the beginning of a whole other adventure, like creating your own recuts or sometimes original rhythms, because we also created original rhythms, and voicing the artist, and yeah, creating your own juggling and releasing that always on vinyl. So far I've been lucky enough to release all my productions on vinyl, so we've got like 83 singles on the label. It's like 13 albums out there, one rhythm albums, I mean, and then of course our tracks are all over in compilations and other projects. But yeah, that was an amazing adventure that started in 2001 and still going on nowadays.
Very interesting, very interesting. So when talking about music and dub plates, we have to talk about Sound Clash. And before we move fast forward to 2001, when you had your first international Sound Clash, we want to feature 20 minutes from Heartical. Right?
Yeah, man. Play the music, man.
Just run it.
This is the original W, presenting the Heartical, the #1 sound. Check it out. You, Heartical, you, Heartical, you. La 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 la. Heartical Sound, the champion. You, Heartical you. La 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 la. Heartical Sound, the champion.
Article, Rastafari, seeing no rat trap, seeing that the wise man built his house upon the rock. Will you tell me, yeah? Oh Lord, I pray. Will you tell me, yeah? Article build his sound on the rock, but the foolish man build his sound on the sea. Article rule the city because of his righteous stuff. Article rule the city. That's what the people love. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Just the power of the Almighty, protect Heartical from bad mind and envy. Just the power of the Almighty, guide and protect Heartical, you see. No, we never worry what a sound guy know. No, we never fret because we got the ammunition ready. We gonna lift them from 6 to 6. Kill them again, we kill them quick. Sound boy, you got to run. No retreat, no surrender. Yo, yo, yo.
We kill them for free. Kill them for free. Kill them for free. Yeah. Hey. Some of them say the modern Heartical a champion. Yeah. But you know Heartical is a number one. Whoa. In Japan they say Ichigo. Way, some way. Surgery kill the Philistine with a dumb play. Yes, we kill them for free. Yeah, we kill them for free. Whoa, Heartical kill them for free. Yes, we kill them for free. Yeah.
Hit me with the rhythm. I hold the master on these schism. Disco devil, say I'm coming to my higher level. Hello, song boy. Play disco devil. Heartical as disco rebel. Song boy, play me pure and no evil. Sir and Joe and give no trouble. I wanna give you trouble. Let me give you trouble. Let me give you double. Double and double and double and double. And if you try to fight, yeah, they wanna slew you with my mic. My mic, my mic, my sight, my sight, my light, my light, my light. Deliver on the light, and deliver on the light, and the light, and the sight. On my mic, no songs, Heartical. Heartical, Heartical. Heartical, Heartical. Rebel, beware of the disco devil, disco spell. Sounds Heartical, Paris ruler, the French killer, Sergio, Paris, France.
Big up Heartical Sound and all Paris crew.
Leo Graham said that. Big up. No weapon works against you shall prosper. Jah standing by.
Yes, man, may God bless this one and all. Blessed is the man that walketh not in the way of sinners, or sitteth in the seat of the scornful. But his delight stays with Rastafari forever and ever. Heartical Sound is large, ever large, maximum you say so.
Big sound from out of Paris called Heartical. Big up man like Sergio. You come for pay your due. Silver Tone says so.
Now you give the big bad sounds called Heartical. Means so we're Heartical. We're coming from the heart. Yeah.
Yeah, man, say King Selassie, Joe. Rastafari rules creation from creation. Yeah, man, this is another version from creation. The Heartical Sound on you. You see, large of yourself, search from creation. The Heartical Sound one. Sufferation. Now some boy happy behavior, tribulation, some boy go through, and I want you to know it's very true. Yes, I want you to know it's very true. So you were taken from a holy land. And we're brought into Paris land, and we treat sound with brutality. Yes, brutality. Ooh, from creation. Heartical kill someone. Sufferation. Now some boy a behavior. Tribulation. Now some boy go through. And I want you to know it's very true. Heartical was taken all over England. And he mash up some boy. Look at them foot and them hand. And we treat them with brutality. Yes, brutality. Heartical Sound, yeah. And the ruler all over Paris Town.
Sergio, hold tight. Is that what?
I am in the boo. How do you do? Rumors them spreading, claim that I sent them a planting, but I strictly rubber dub that we playing. I fear rumors that end. A little sound boy, lock up your hand. You don't know Heartical, you don't understand. You see we're playing some Dubplate, so you should never ever hold the rep. Rumors them spreading, Dubplate we playing. Down in the Dublin, Heartical is the number one. So I heard you said to me, yeah, you wanna be the number one. Oh, what a bam bam. But not yet, you little sound boy. Heartical is the number one. You recognize that, sir. Heartical the number one, yeah, and alright. I heard you said to me, you wanna be the number one. Oh, little sound boy. But no way, you little sound boy. Heartical is the number one. True born champion. So if you wanna be the number one, if you wanna be the number one, Heartical play rubber dub non-stop. And champion don't die. I heard you telling friends that you are the number one. Champion sound called article, yeah. All of the sound are artificial. So tell the sound will over there to start the sound class quick. Tell the sound will over there to start the sound class quick. And him start to vomit. But there is nothing at all that he can do. Now that Heartical Sound passed through. I beg you tell her it's a case of emergency. Look at what the bitty sound try test with. Try test Heartical. Night nurse, yeah, Lord. Heartical just kill that sound and send him in the earth.
Article, you know. And you know, it's an article foundation that come from the art, the beat, the reggae beat from the art. Lincoln Sugar Miner from Kingston, Jamaica, Black Root style, man. Article, where I say, run the rhythm. There is a message. Get what article gonna play for you. Sound boy, I know a sound boy. He's a jumping sound. A jumping sound is he. Article cut him down, broke his crown. Now he's dying, you see. Don't put your trust in a jumping sound, for it will let you down. Don't put your trust in an idiot sound, or you'll be underground. Jump and sound, coming out the lawn, and a jump and sound boy have a sudden fall. All of their friends and the dub that they spin couldn't get a jump and together again. Don't put your trust in a idiot sound boy, cause you know Heartical them run the town. Heartical, are you run the country? Hey, sound boy, say you quite contrary. And I saw the rubber dub go out. You don't have no dub from the dance or the club. Now the Heartical make them start the show. Alright, you just a DB sound boy. Can't test Heartical no way, no. You can't test my sound. Hear me now. For it is easier for a camel to go to the eye of an eagle than an idiot sound boy. Come test the Heartical Sound, they really couldn't do that. Oh yeah. Yeah, the sound boy. I've been hearing rumors about the sound boy. I hear you wanna test the Heartical Sound. Are you really serious? Or is it just a game? Test the Heartical, you're gonna be king. Dubby never have it, dance it with the rabbit. So how you wanna test the Heartical Sound? Hey, Heartical Sound, it's a murdering sound. Murder any sound, in any town. Are you really serious to test this sound? Tonight, sound boy, you're going down. Six foot six under the ground. See liquor on your box, boy, them run out of town. Hey, sound boy, you're foolish. Don't try to test the Heartical Sound. Sound boy, you're going down. Do you really feel that? You can test the Heartical.
Do you really think that you can test the murdering sound? I've always had no style for you. From the very first time we wanna kill your sound. Are you really serious? Or is it just a game? This article is going down in shame. Sound boy, we kill you on the main. And if you get it, we kill you on the lane. Hey, oh, 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 oh. Oh, 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 yes. So what? Come tell me, I wanna know now. Do you really think that you could test the article murdering sound? Search up, tell them they're going down.
Fans and Mojo alongside the elder. The man who build the thing and set the thing. Foundation, sugar minot.
Yeah.
I know I go under that.
Article you will.
Tell him sugar.
Some boy coming at the dance hall with them tin pants around. They want test the article, but them just get cut down. Wow. Don't you run now, sound boy. You won't get away. I wish that you will die. And if you run, you can't hide. Article got the style to make our sound boy run wild. I wanna hear you sing, whoa, sound boy. Rapid test the article, whoa, sound boy.
You shouldn't trouble. Sound boy, you are got dead now. A gunshot now. Inna your head now. It make like no article. You something tonight. You can't put up no fight. Jump and you are got dead now. A gunshot now. Inna your head now. With me clock now. Article a kill you some tonight. You can't put up no fight.
Heartical Sound. May I tell you with Sergio from Paris. A win slang takes me to say run track. Run track. Oh yeah. Yeah, yeah.
Heartical Sound, a champion sound. Sound boy, you living in space. Wanna taste article? No, you meeting disgrace. That's a one and you can't show your face because you want this article. The people them run you away. Article kill any sound, boy. Article kill any sound. We won't do anything, but we will kill your sound. We won't do anything. Oh yeah. Oh Lord. Article is a sound that we love, and where the people are here, where the far are near. Oh Lord, our son boy try to taste, know him in a distress. Article murder that sound. Article kill any sound, boy. Article kill any sound. We won't do anything, but we will kill your sound. We won't do anything. Oh yeah. Moment in space and why you have a moment in space. Article put you on a disgrace. Put you in a disgrace. Sound boy killer. Article big bout ya. We murder them. Sound boy killer. Article we murder a sound. Dedicated to the sound we kill. Dedicated to the day sound. Ain't no meaning of saying goodbye. Article they young, and all the sound boys gonna die. Hear me tell them, ain't no meaning of saying goodbye. Article him a play,
And all Japan sound boys gone, run away. My telematical, you all what was sounding. Everything we dream of and will never do nothing to ever this year's sound. I say sound boy them trying just to keep us apart. But let us show them Heartical Sound will never end. Murder them. Ain't no meaning of saying goodbye. Heartical in the young. And all Japan sound boys gone, die, die. Hear me tell them, hey, no, hey, no, hey, no.
Boy, Gregory Isaacs Dubs.
That's bad. Wicked Dubs.
Yeah, man. Some very, very important people to Heartical Sound.
Yeah, but you as well.
Mm.
Big Dub.
Wicked. So Sergio, you said in 2001 you played your first clash, let's call it this way, your first clash in Spain against Stereotone, Rootseeker, and One Blood. Was it an all-out? Was it a straight dubplate clash?
No, as I said, there was no rules. So we went there saying, okay, we need to play 100% dubplates because for us, Clash was about playing dubplates. But in front of us, we had people who were playing like 100% 7-inch because they had no dubplates. That was, and matter of fact, after that night, Stereotone and came to us and said, oh, can you cut some dubplates for us? Because we're looking forward to play some dubs and things, and we have no links. We don't know how to do this. So I started cutting dubs for some Spanish songs at the time. Yeah. So that was a clash, which was not a clash. In fact, obviously there was no voting, and people, the audience didn't know, of course, what was the clash business. So.
Okay, so in 2003, Heartical had its first official dubplate clash, right? In Belgium, against the sound that is called Run Sound from the Netherlands, which was at this time the leading sound.
From in the Netherlands, they had won a few European contests at the time, beat some quite good sounds, and that was a mighty opponent for us.
And this sound was run by King Whitey.
Yeah, the great late King Whitey, so rest in peace.
Exactly, rest in peace. Tell us about this clash. So 2003, 4 years after founding your sound, you're going to Belgium to clash one of the biggest sounds from the Netherlands. Like how do you go in there? Like, what was the mindset?
The mindset was like, okay, it's an opportunity for us to show that we can handle international clashes, because it was about emceeing in English. You have to keep in mind that in France, 99% of people involved in the sound business speak French only. In the dance, we don't speak English. It's very different if you go to Germany or to other countries. They would speak easily English in the dance, but we were more like speaking French. So this clash was an opportunity to prove that we were ready for international events. And then when they called us and said, oh, would you clash Run Sound? We said, okay, yeah, well, that's something we can try to do. But you have to keep in mind that there was a dance called Eurolink up a few years before, where you had some of the major European songs invited. And there was a French representative, which was Soul Stereo at the time. There was Far West Crew, and there was Run Sound, and there was King Tubby's. I think King Tubby's won it in the finals against Run Sound. And so for us, it was like, okay, that's the nearest thing to a UK official song that you can find in Europe at the moment, because there wasn't much songs really doing that level of clashes. And so we went there with what we had in the box and said, okay, we're going to use what we have and manage to do the best we can. So we cut a few customs at the time, and that was really something new for us. The first customs that we were cutting like this for international events. And we also voiced some French artists, because you have to keep in mind this is Belgium. In Belgium, half of the country speaks Flemish and the other half speak French. Everybody understands English, of course. So yeah, we said we can use some of the French artists to counteract the fact that Run Sound has such a big box, because Run Sound had been cutting dubs since the early 90s, I think, and they had a connection to X-Rated label in Ocho Rios, So X-Rated was Barrio here label, which had released like crazy one rhythms like the Heathen and some drum song. And so they had all those one rhythm on special, like they were playing some for us some crazy dubs, and we were like, okay, the only way that we're going to find something that they cannot really handle, it's by playing some French artists. And this strategy proved to be right, because we got some huge forwards due to using some local Belgium artist called Human, original Human, who became also a very close friend to Heartical Sound, and did a lot of releases on Heartical label. And yeah, we managed to win that clash. As a matter of fact, in the Dub Dub, that was a different era as well. Those clashes were not voted round by round. You had to go all through the night, and then you reached Dub Dub, and at the end of the Dub Dub, people would vote. So of course you could be leading at a moment and you know, totally collapse maybe in the final part, or totally boss in the final part. So we managed to handle the rounds, and in the Dub Dub we were clearly superior. We counteracted some of their songs, because we had the original cuts to some of their songs. They played I think they played George Nook's Tribal War, and we counteracted with the Little Roy original Tribal War. We played at the time, nobody had played Justin Hines. We were playing Justin Hines on the plate. That was something. After that, a lot of sounds get to cut and play that dub. But I think it was one of the first European clash and even clash in the world where you could hear a Justin Hines dub plate like this. And yeah, they played Downpen. No, we had cut Downpen. Yes. That was also the first time that Downpen was doing a counteraction to her own song. So it was, yeah, all these things put together helped us to get an edge, and we brought back the trophy to France. And it was a very proud moment, because it was the first time, in fact, that a French sound win an international trophy. There had been clashes in France where, of course, French songs would have won because it was in France, but never had a French song went abroad and brought back a trophy. In fact, the few opportunities that had been there, the French songs, they didn't manage to bring back the trophy. So we were very happy for France to say, yeah, France is on the map.
Wicked. And so, first international clash, you go there, you take the trophy back to France, and you mentioned that you voiced a couple of customs for this clash.
True.
And before we started the show, you provided us with some customs for some of the clash. So we're going to play a handful of customs for a couple of clashes. So let me play the first custom for this one here. So 2003, Heartical versus Run Sound. Here we go.
Heartical Sound with a man called Sergio, Mr. Tom, and a man called Mr. Boo. Just go and big up saying, and you don't know saying, King White, you know, you're dead tonight. Saying Run Sound, you're dead like dog, you don't know. Run Sound, the fucking clown. Play for the bounce sound, call Heartical International. Sure. I say y'all love Heartical Sound, make me soon one. Badang bang bang. Tell them King White, you know, say the boy a batty man. Because run sound round cause you a dead man, and run sound round cause you a dead man, and run sound round you a dead man, cause Heartical Sound them going to kill one, and when me say one we killing off the whole gang, and Junior Cat pan the reggae version, and when we sing Bumba all a dead man, cause King White is a him a batty man, and now me hear the boy a lick out bottom man. Him push him tongue underneath me say run, and I come a sound clash a talk about
Yeah, man. Some terrible lyrics from Junior Cat. I must say, enough respect to King Whitey, because he didn't take it personal. He didn't take it personal. He understood it was a clash game. I never asked, of course, Junior Cat to diss him so bad. It was just that when he grabbed the mic, he started to chat his lyrics, and all the studio was like laughing, like stupid. So I said, okay, let's keep it like that. And yeah, we weren't used to use too much Batman lyrics. I guess it may be the only Batman lyrics special we ever had, and it was a custom because I wasn't very fond of this type of lyrics. But yeah, that was some nice memories. And the interesting point is that in the clash they played the regular Junior Cat before we played the custom, so it gave us also an edge when they played that, because we came after and said, okay, you play Junior Cat, well, listen what Junior Cat really sings about Run Sound, and we played that.
Yeah, big up Junior
Big forward.
Cat, and big up Run Sound. Yeah, man.
Big up Run Sound, enough respect Run Sound.
So Article won that clash.
That was the first clash victory. Yeah.
All right. So 1 year later, Article clashing in France. Lunes against another sound from Paris, Soul Stereo.
Yeah.
Another 1v1.
That was a real clash.
Was this your first time meeting Soul Stereo on the battlefield?
Yeah, on the battlefield it was the first time. In fact, there was only 2 times. This time was the first one, and the next one was in 2018. I guess you've heard that one. And prior to that, we had done dances together, like they were playing on the same night as us, but never had there been a clash. But there was a real rivalry with Soul Stereo from early days, and a promoter just thought it was a good idea to put us on the lineup like this. And this was, of course, a big clash for the French sound system scene and clash scene. It was one of the audios that were the most listened to in France, and years later people are still talking about that clash. Yeah, it was a major event for real.
Take us through it. Let's hear what happened. How the round set?
So the round set. Yeah. There was a 45 round first to start, and then there was 2 or 3 dubplate rounds, and then a dub dub, because, as I said, in that at that time there was no voting in the round, so no possibility of lock off unless you really flop bad and people would chase you away. But that had never happened, in fact, in the history of clashes. So people were not prepared for that in France, because we know that in Jamaica that would happen. People would boo you off a stage, but out of the stage, but not in France. So it was the same thing that we play all the rounds, we do the dub and people vote at the end, and Soul Stereo won the final votation, and took the trophy home that night, and it was another milestone for us, because even if we lost that clash, we learned a lot. I often say this, that in clash business there is no real defeat. It's either you win or you learn. You learn something, and of course what we learned that night was very useful for the rest of our career. If we managed to win so many clashes after, was due to this type of defeats where you say, okay, what went wrong? Because we could have won, in fact, and they could have won, but why did they win and why did we lose? And you study that dance hard, and you get to understand where you missed some points and where you could have been really making a difference. So yeah, very, very interesting clash with a lot of blueprints again. That was, I think, even for sounds from abroad, they were listening to that audio like, hey, listen to that audio. The guys, they are not playing the same regular stuff that people at the time were a lot copying Kilimanjaro boxes and the big songs. Like, okay, those were, it was the time where the term counteraction and regular became familiar. Like, okay, if you're going to play the same set of dubs that every song has, then you could be in trouble when you talk about certain songs, because they will write the lyrics different. And so yeah, that night we used for the first time the Max Romeo Chase the Devil. That was an historic dub for us, because we wanted to cut that dub for years. We had met Max Romeo, and Max was like, I'm sorry, but I don't have that rhythm, and nobody has it, and it has never been released. So I cannot voice. The only way I'm going to voice that dub is on the next rhythm, or I have a MIDI recut, very cheap quality of somebody played back on a keyboard the rhythm, but very cheap. And I was like, no, I'm not gonna get that song on a cheap rhythm or on another rhythm. So we managed to rebuild the rhythm with a sound from Germany called Such a Sound, who rebuilt the rhythm and sent us to us. And I went to check Max Romeo, and he was like, wow, really, you've got the rhythm? Oh, it's so good. I'm going to make so much money off it, because it's like thousands of sounds. Every song I make wants that dub, and I never can voice it because I don't have it. So I'm going to do that song for you for free, because you're doing me such a favor by giving the rhythm to me. And what I didn't know is that Max Romeo loved the rhythm so much that he put it on a 7-inch and released it. They repressed Chase the Devil, and the B-side of his Char Max label, because the original, as you know, is Lee Scratch Perry production on Black Ark. And he re-released the song on his Char Max label and used our rhythm on the B-side. So then after that, everybody get the rhythm, and nowadays you have thousands of sounds who are cutting dubs on that same rhythm that we gave Max Romeo. But at the time, it was really a real exclusive thing. And of course, Soul Stereo had cut the dub, but on Money Money rhythm. They played their Money Money Max Romeo rhythm cut, and we came with the original making a speech, and that was a big forward in that night. There was, of course, a lot of one-away dubs, like the Yabiyu you just listened in the mix. That Yabiyu was played for the first time that night as well, because I had been to Jamaica in 2003 and cut that dub. And I was like, yeah, that's something I really want to do if I can, is meet Yabiyu and, of course, interview him, but also voice some dubs. And at the time, never had there been any sound cutting Yabiyu dubs. So we met Yabiyu in Kingston. We had to make him come from the countryside because he wasn't living in Kingston. But I was lucky enough to be friend with Patrick Andy. Patrick Andy used to be one of the students of Yabiyu in the 70s. He used to sing in the Prophets, which was like the backing band, the backing vocals for Yabiyu for some of the tunes. And so he managed to make Yabiyu come to Kingston. And I didn't share that link at the time. I said, okay, that's something I only want to keep with for me. So I was the first son to get that Yabiyu. And for a few years, I was the only one with it. Then after, of course, he gave some ideas to a lot of sounds who started to cut. But yeah, and sadly, Yabiyu passed away, I think, in 2006. So there wasn't many Yabiyu dubs done because it wasn't a big amount of time left before he passed away. But yeah, that night was also the night where we played our combination, Marcia Griffith, Bob Andy, and Alton Ellis. That's another big blueprint in the box that nobody had ever done. In fact, it was that's an incredible story because I was in London to voice Bob Andy and Marcia Griffiths. A lot of European songs that sent me as a middleman to handle those dubs for them, because at the time there was this popular combination, Always Together, Bob Andy and Marcia Griffith, that had been played by Downbeat and by Mighty Crown. Mighty Crown had killed Rodigan with that, so there was a hype around, oh, we need Marcia Griffith and Bob Andy the Dubplate. So all the sounds were there. I remember Saxon cutting the dub. I remember some other songs, and it was the first time, I think, in 30 years that Marcia and Bob were going on stage again together in London, because they were very popular in England due to the time where they sing Young, Gifted and Black together, and some big tunes in the past, but they had never been together on a live show. So there was really an incredible atmosphere. Like everybody was like, wow, this is history, like Bob Andy and Marcia Griffith together in London. So I just booked my Eurostar, get some orders. I remember I voiced the dubs for Supersonic, I voiced the dubs for Soundquake, I voiced the dubs for Sentinel, for many songs that night, and I reached there with all my orders and some Western Unions to collect. I had to go to like 5 or 6 different Western Union to collect because that was too much money on one aid. They couldn't give it to me in one spot, so I had to go to many places. And I managed to get Bob Andy and Marcia Griffith to go to studio while they were doing their rehearsals for the show. So the promoter wasn't too happy to see his 2 artists that he had paid the flights for leave the studio, leave the rehearsals to go do that. But of course, the artists wanted the money, so they went there. And while we were doing the dubs, ding dong, somebody rings at the door. I say, oh shit, he just flopped the dub because we were voicing. So you hear the ring of the door. I was about to really cuss that guy. I opened the door and it's Alton Ellis. So I don't curse, of course. I'm like, Alton, I'm very happy to see you. And even the 2 artists, Bob Andy and Marcia, were kind of vexed because the dub was flopped by the ringing of the door. We were like happy to see Alton because Alton was like a godfather to them, of course, from the Studio One days. And in fact, I had found a show for Alton Ellis a few years before. I had sent him to Sweden. And at the time, the deal was like, oh, I booked the show for you. I don't take no money, but you will do a special for me when we get an opportunity. And so I say, oh, this is the opportunity I've been waiting for. Alton, can you please do a dub with Marcia and Bob? And he said, oh yeah, of course, with pleasure. So I just had to find an idea quick, and the idea was to use the melody live from Marcia, make Alton sing one of his biggest songs for me, Cry It Off, on the rhythm. Then Marcia sings his part. Then I asked Bob Andy to sing To Experience, which which was also is the original, of course. Barrington Levy popularized that tune, but it's Bob Andy who wrote that song and sing it first for Studio One. So I say, oh, now I've got something really, really special here in the box. And so the first time I used it was against Soul Stereo that night too. So yeah, that's some of the
this is history. This is history.
Yeah.
This is really interesting. Really, really interesting. And while we're talking about it, we have to say, big up Sir Alton Ellis.
Yeah, man.
In eternal powers. He was actually the first artist I ever voiced for my song.
Oh yeah, I heard you played some Alton Ellis in the intro of the show. So yeah, enough respect to Alton. Alton was a very, very important artist for Jamaican music, a real godfather, but also a very, very humble person. I remember voicing him because I did many dub sessions with Alton. He was living in England, as you might know, and so it was very easy for me. I just grabbed the Eurostar from Paris, and 2 hours, 3 hours, I was in the heart of London with some orders, and Alton would be there. And I remember we were waiting in a studio, a G-Vibe studio, matter of fact, and there were some guys doing some commercial adverts, and they were really bad because they had to do it over and over, and it took hours, in fact, to just voice a little promotion single for a dance or something like this. And I was like afraid that Alton would leave because his wife was waiting for him, and it was late already, and he wasn't so young already. And I said, okay, but sorry, Alton, for making you wait. And he was like, no, it's cool. He just sit down on a table and was waiting like that, like yeah. So it go, I say you are such a legend. I'm sorry to make you wait for people who are not able to just voice a couple jingles. and I was lucky also to have him on the label, because that's another thing I'm very proud of. I think I voiced one of the last songs by Alton Ellis before he passed away. That's a Peaceful Valley, which was voiced on the Ministerio, an original creation rhythm by Dubs DUBS Foundation, and I was very proud of having him. I also had Sugar Minot on that rhythm, so that's some very important artists to me, and yeah, big pride to have Alton on the label. That's the only song I got on the label by him.
Yeah, man. I actually made the same experience. He was one of the most humble and nicest, not only artists, but persons I ever worked with. I voiced him in 2006 in Jamaica, actually, and it was just a blessing to work with him. So rest in eternal power, definitely. And so back to the Soul Stereo song. We of course have one custom from this clash as well that we're going to play right now. And let me just put it in the Serato. And there we go.
Article with name Mr. Boo, Sir Joe, Killing Chinchilla style, play by Article alone. An Article alone. Listen, sound boy, how we roll the town. Whoa, so Sarah I go dead tonight. Sarah I go dead tonight in the tribute club. In the tribute club. Jump on me corner, Heartical Sound a play. Match them up, Heartical, you lead the way. This a Killing Chinchilla. Say nobody get weary. This a Killing Chinchilla. Say nobody get weary. Match them down, the champion sound. Say are you rule the town. This a Heartical Sound. From the Paris region. It's a Heartical Sound. Say that we run the town. Play by Heartical alone. Play by Heartical alone. From the Paris region.
Yeah, man. The great Carlton Livingston. Yeah. Another artist we love on Heartical Sound. Yeah, I produced like 5 or 6 songs on the label with him, and yeah, very nice person as well, very humble and talented guy. And the funny part of this custom is that Soul Stereo would be touring with him, and we managed to get him to voice. And I think Lone Ranger was very close to Soul Stereo at the time, even warned them like, hey, Carlton has voice against you, you should be voicing a counteraction, and they didn't do it. And I think that was funny to drop an artist that they were so close against them. I think we also played that night Sugar Minot for custom against them, but that was more obvious because we were the French sound who was very close to Sugar. So that's another interesting story I can tell. Maybe in 2002, Sugar Minot came for a tour in France, and the promoter wasn't very used to doing Jamaican artist tours. I think it was the first time he was touring with some Jamaican artists, and he didn't have any weed for them. So the artists were getting that piece because they really wanted to smoke. And I said, okay, I can organize some dub session and maybe find something for Sugar. And Sugar was so happy to have the work for the dubplate, but also the weed, because the weed was like something he really, really loved. And he came on tour with Tony Tuff and Quenched at the time. And to say thank you, he voiced, of course, some dubs for Heartical, but he also told me, yeah, Sergio, you took good care of me in France, so I want you to come to Jamaica, and when you come to Jamaica, I will take care of you. And of course, 1 year later, I was on a flight to Jamaica for the first time, 2003, and I was staying at Youthman Promotion, so that was like a wow, a big, incredible experience for me, because that's a place I had been hearing, like a legendary place, and here I was, like sleeping on the same spot where Garnet Silk had been sleeping, and Junior Reid had been learning the trade, and Yami Bolo had started his career, and it was amazing to be there and to wake up every morning. You go to them out of your bed, you walk in the yard, and you have Errol Dunkley licking the chalice there.
Exactly.
Ninja Man passing through, are an incredible amount of artists, and of course Sugar was very close to us from that time. We always kept in touch, and he accepted to do custom dubs for us, which if you check, there is many custom dubs of Sugar Minot out there, and he did one against Soul Stereo that night, and it's the same Soul Stereo had voiced him, so I was waiting for them to drop their Sugar Minot to drop my custom against them. Yeah,
but big up the chief, definitely.
Yeah,
big
the
up,
chief,
big up,
Abu Aminat, man.
Exactly.
Instrumental, our big Jamaican link.
Wicked.
Gone but never forgotten.
Now, Sergio, in those days, you weren't playing the sound alone, right? You still had the team with you?
Yeah, of course. When we did the clash with Soul Stereo, there was Mr. Boom selecting, playing the dubs, and there was the next guy called Mr. Siam, who was a friend, because remember, those were the days where you would play acetates. It wasn't CDs, it wasn't obviously laptop, it was really still, real acetates records, actually. And so you needed a little logistic to be efficient and to be really able to play quick. So you had somebody who was in charge of only taking the records off the sleeve, passing it to the selector, and putting it back to the sleeve and putting the next tune. So it was 3 people, me on the mic, my selector mixing the tunes, and the other one operating, like selecting the songs and giving them to the selector.
Nice.
So it was 3 people on the clash.
Moving on to 2006, the next big 1v1. Again in France, this time against one of the baddest songs from Germany, The Killers, Supersonic.
True. Supersonic was a big learning experience for us, and by learning it means that we lost, of course. but it was amazing because promoter had been offering that clash to a few sounds, and all the sounds had said no. They don't want to clash Supersonic because Supersonic had already the reputation of being a very hard sound to beat. So we were like not the first or the second, but the third choice for the promoter. Like he had asked 2 other sounds first, and we said yes, while 2 others said no. We said, okay, we're surely gonna get beat up, but at least we will try, and we will give them a nice little match, and that's what happened. It was a nice match, and same rules as before. There was no voting in the round, so we went to the dub feed up with them, and some people, I remember reading the reviews after, and the people were saying, Supersonic really dominated the rounds, but the article recovered in the dub feed up, and it was true that it was interesting until the end, even that although they were really leading, and we must say Supersonic is the real tough sound. We all know that by now.
Big up Supersonic, definitely one of the toughest sounds ever from Europe. Most definitely, they are wicked sound. So big up Supersonic Sound.
One thing that stands out to me in that clash, that I heard Bonnie and Scully the first time.
True. I was the first sound as well to voice Bonnie and Scully, I had been studying the music and discovered that one of the earliest artists to record in Jamaica was Bonnie and Scully, the duo of Bunny Robinson and Noel Scully, Zoot Sims, aka Mr. Foundation from Studio One. And so I managed to find those two artists in Jamaica when I was there in 2003, or was it my next trip, maybe 2006. I found them and I managed to voice a dub with them. That also was a blueprint that had never been done before. And so when I dropped that into the feed up, I remember seeing Panza Selector saying, "Oh shit, like they've got some serious dubs." I dropped also some Justin Hines, that Natty Takeover. I remember Panza coming to me after, "Oh, I really wanted to voice that dub, but Justin Hines passed away and I couldn't manage to voice it." And I haven't heard so far any other song playing Natty Takeover on the original rhythm, because I have two cuts of Natty Takeover. In fact, I had done a session with Justin Hines in Paris where I voiced it for me and for Soundquake, but on the real rock. So I've got Justin Hines and Scully Sims on the real rock singing Natty Takeover. And then years later, we managed to loop the rhythm. And that's when I did it. I did that dub again. So I've got two dubs of that same special, but one is a real blueprint because it's the only one on the original rhythm. And that tune was featured on the Rockers movie original soundtrack. So it's like an important song in reggae culture. As you know, Rockers is a very important movie in Jamaican culture. And yeah, lots of customs that night, both from Supersonic side and my side. Supersonic played, I remember, Mikey Dread custom against me. That was something wow. And they had got a counteraction to my Dennis Al Capone anthem. At the time I was playing Ticha Ticha by Dennis Al Capone. It was like one of the big tunes, and they had got the counteraction asking Dennis to do it against us. And yeah, we dropped a lot of customs that night. Both camps had prepared the clash seriously.
Wicked.
And yeah, another highlight was when I counteracted their Wayne Smith, Johnny Osborne, and Shabba, because they had done the rhythm clash and dropped that Wayne Smith, Johnny Osborne, and Shabba in Germany, and that was a very, very big tune. For a lot of people talked about it. But in fact, a few months before, I had been invited to New York in 2005. I was also the first French sound to travel to New York to play there. I played two shows, one with Massive B and Stone Love, and one with Ghetto Life, and the next one called Black Terror. And Black Terror tried to clash me by surprise that night, and it was another epic episode of Heartical clash story. But it wasn't an official clash; it was a surprise clash, and there is a video of that you can find on YouTube where we end up doing a dub feed up. So in 2005, I had been to New York, and I had voiced that Johnny Osborne, Wayne Smith, and Shabba combo with counteraction lyrics. So my plan was, I'm waiting for somebody to drop Wayne Smith or Johnny Osborne against me on the slang thing, and boom, I will use that and mash him up. So I had the tune for 1 year waiting in the box, waiting for the right moment, and then boom, the clash with Supersonic arrived, and they played it, of course. So I played, and I remember there was a guy called Uzla at the time on the sound that isn't any longer, and he came to me after the clash. "Oh, yeah, I'm vexed. You counteracted our anthem and thing. I never thought somebody would be able to record that." I said, "No, I didn't do it on purpose. In fact, I had it before you did your own, because I know that their own, like a few months later, and they used it at the rhythm clash against LP." So it wasn't done to counteract Supersonic on. It was just done to counteract any slang thing in the world, and it worked perfectly.
Wicked. You're mentioning actually another sound's name that I really want to big up, Soundquake.
Soundquake, yeah, man. Real legends. Legendary.
Big up the whole Soundquake crew. I remember riding to the record store and buying vinyl. I even called them up front, like, "Yo, I'm looking for the best condition of the vinyls. Can I come to your shop?" And they were like, "This is not regular, but yeah, man, you can get a pass. You can come over."
So you went to Detmold? You went to Detmold?
To Detmold. I went there, I think, 2 times, maybe even 3 times, and I was standing there the whole day. Like, they had the blue boxes with the 7 inches in there, and I was like going through and going there with like a couple of €100 and driving home with like a big box of new records, and he was like,
legendary. Man. Bima Rapper.
Exactly.
Bima Rapper, and
Wicked.
That was a
Big respect, big respect.
And
So,
Till Schumann, the whole team in Soundquake was very, very nice to us. They helped us because they were a powerful distributor for vinyls, and of course they were distributing Heartical label, but were at the same time close on the sound system business side, because they invited us to Rodigan 25th anniversary tour in Germany. So that was another history night for us, where we were able to play with Rodigan for the first night, and Cotirangs was there, and of course, so big up to Soundquake. We should have clashed, and that clash was cancelled. Sadly, it didn't happen because one of their members lost the big family issue, and they cancelled the clash. But yeah, I would have loved to make it happen.
Sergio, correct me when I'm wrong here, but wasn't this 25th anniversary thing, wasn't it on an airport or something like that?
The one we did was on the late night club in Detmold, where Soundquake had their regular dance. But it was a whole tour, so of course he was playing in Rome the next day. He was playing in different parts, so we just played that one dance. We didn't do
I
the
see,
whole tour.
because
The whole tour was like maybe 20 shows. Big problem for Rodigan, because the show was booked as a Rodigan anniversary featuring Johnny Osborne, and Johnny Osborne never had his visa and papers sorted out at the time. He was like an illegal immigrant in America, and he couldn't leave the country, so they had to do over all the promotion, all the posters with Cotirangs instead. That was quite all right as a replacement, but Johnny Osborne was supposed to be like the highlight of the thing. And yeah, I remember Rodigan really being pissed.
Wicked. So yeah, man, big up Soundquake and big up Supersonic, most definitely two of the baddest sounds ever from Germany. So yeah, man, enough respect. So, but of course we got one custom from this clash as well. So let me play this real quick. And this was like.
Well, this a Heartical story, and this a true Paris story. Supersonic a history, because they don't know the story. Hey, I remember those days KNS used to shock when them a earthquake have Paris town lock. Youth man unity used to run the place hot, and Azania posse was our next top. I remember KJB was one of the toughest, and the song can get to youth one of the greatest. I remember High Fight with Daddy Nutty, used to listen blues party and Bad King Charlie. I remember King Dragon come lock the whole block when him and the mighty Black Scorpio clash. I remember Sanjata with Ragasonic Sound, the mighty Jah Wisdom in a class of him own. But big up Papa Leslie Ghetto Activity, and big up Ragga Dub Force and the Jungle Posse. Big up Vibes and Nice and Stand Tall and Scalawag Sound. Too much wicked sound to mention. Listen, Whitey, a lot of big sound out of Paris region. We come to big up each and every foundation. So from and a Paris you come from.
Boom! And you cut it before the next part.
Paris region, we come to big up each and every foundation. So from and a Paris you come from. Now Supersonic who get murder in a Munich, one come to Paris and try the same bullshit. Heartical we come to unload the full clip. I remember when Soundquake make Supersonic flap, them had to get up and run and take up them dub box. Now tonight in a Paris, them get a next chop. Heartical love the place lock, where we look and say a lot of big sound in our reach.
Yeah, man, that part. You must remember, it was a clash called the Fight for Glory, and Soundquake won against Supersonic. Spider was traumatized. He told me he didn't sleep for a few nights because he had never lost a clash, and when Soundquake win that one, it was a big shock for them. So I of course I wrote the lyrics for that custom, and I was I really I was very happy to be able to play that again.
Wicked. Yeah, man. Big up Soundquake and Supersonic once again. History sounds definitely. So end of 2006, next clash for Heartical.
Yeah, man.
This time, not against the sound from Germany, but actually in Germany, in a city called Heidelberg. Heartical versus Rootsman sound, but not the Rootsman sound that a lot of people know from Canada, but a Rootsman sound from the UK.
Yeah.
And, a lot of customs and counteractions were played in this clash as well. Crazy. From what I remember, there was this Baba Boom.
Yeah, it was the first time I played the Baba Boom, and another blueprint that had never been played by anybody. Well, it was one of the biggest rocksteady songs that you can find. Of course, such a huge tune, the Jamaicans. But I had never heard anybody play that on special. So I was lucky to be in London when I get a call from a friend of mine who said, "Hey, there is this guy Norris Ware in the studio with Chip Douglas doing some gospel project. He now is like into gospel music, but he was member of the Jamaicans, you know." So I say, "Wow, seriously? I have to meet him. I have to go." And so I was in London and met Norris Ware, and he is the original lead singer of the Jamaicans, because nowadays there is some sounds who are voicing Tommy Cowan, who was a member also of the Jamaicans, but Norris was really the lead singer, and rest in peace Norris, because he passed away a few years ago. But at the time he had never done a special, so it's the same. I had to write the lyrics, and I was lucky to have the rhythm with me, the Baba Boom, because he didn't have it obviously. And yeah, big tune in the box that created a lot of sounds copied that later on. But that was another big major blueprint in the Heartical box. And yeah, Rootsman at the time was obviously more popular than the Canadian Rootsman that you know nowadays, because Rootsman was based in the UK and was doing a lot of dub sessions. In fact, he was a dub agent, just like Heartical, because we were also dub agents for years, and so it was the clash of the dub agents. That wasn't written on the flyer, but it was a clash of the dub agents of who can line up the most links and customs. So that's why for the time having so many customs in a clash was really unusual. Like normally you would have 2, 3, 4, 5 customs, but that night was like 15 or 20 customs that were played. And of course lots of interaction stuff. And Rootsman was very popular at the time because he was also doing his label, so Third Eye Music it was called, and he had produced like Daddy Freddy and had some nice projects going on. So yeah, when they offered us this clash, I said, oh, that's a clash I really want to do, because his name is Rootsman, and Heartical is famous for being into the roots dubplate thing. So I said, okay, let's do this. And there is a video of the night, and it was packed, and it was RAM, really an incredible memory. And Rootsman was playing mini disc.
Yeah, man.
Yeah, very unusual clash. And we were playing acetates. We were playing acetate dubplates versus mini disc. So that was the battle. Another technology battle.
After this clash, I had the impression that Rootsman disappeared.
Yeah, it was the clash that parked him in a way. I cannot say that it's 100% due to Heartical beating him in the clash, but it's true that he didn't clash anymore after that, while he had been doing a few clashes before. He clashed with Downbeat. There is not a lot of European sounds who can say that they have clashed with Downbeat. He was one of them, and he had clashed also with Caliweed from Italy.
Yeah, big up Caliweed.
We were his third opponent, and the last one. Since then, he never returned to the battlefield. Yeah. So some people told me, "Oh, you have parked my favorite song," and but I'm not 100% sure that he parked due to this defeat. Maybe he had some other issues, and I know that he has been coming back to the production business in recent years, but it took him a lot of time. In fact, maybe 10 years or 15 years to come back.
Okay, and 1 year later, it's all about Switzerland.
Yeah, because we won. Of course, we won the Rootsman clash. Yeah.
And then 1 year later, it's going to Switzerland.
Yeah, in Switzerland, after we win that Rootsman clash, it was a very good promotion for us again, because the audio was all over the video, and so they contacted us for a clash in Switzerland against Love Injection. And that was like another step for us, because Rootsman was a UK sound, so already something serious. But Love Injection was really a famous name and a legendary opponent that clashed with Saxon, that clashed with some big names in the industry. So we were like, oh, it's not going to be an easy road, but let's take this challenge again and let's go there.
Before we talk about this clash in detail, first of all, I want to say rest in peace to Corporal Billy.
Yeah, Corporal Billy.
Love Injection. You were, to me, one of the best MCs ever out of the European or UK region, whatever you want to call it.
I can confirm that, yeah.
A bad MC, but he wasn't there this night. Am I correct?
No, Corporal was there. He was there. He was the man.
Did he MC
Yeah,
the whole
he was.
night?
He was the one emceeing the night. Yeah, that's
Sing,
Corporal
sing,
Billy.
sing, 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 sing.
Corporal was the one, and he was very smart because he managed to really get the victory. It was a very tight match. If you have listened to the audio, the victory
Yeah,
is
for
only
real.
1 point away. And so
Yeah.
it's because that's some of the first clashes where we were doing the voting thing. So you had to vote every point on the dub dub, and that night they won like 11 points to 10. We had to play an extra dub because we were tied. We were 10-10 in the dub dub, and that final dub they took it. They also, I must say, kind of pressured a bit the referee. The referee was some young guys called the Heartical Sound. Now they are part of Evidence Music with Little Lion. But the Heartical Sound at the time was the guys were really young, and you had like those 4 UK guys around them saying the point is for love injection, the point is for love injection, because it was really we made them play hard. I say that night. They weren't expecting a French song to come that hard with the customs and the lyrics that we played against them. We had some serious dubs. I don't know which one you picked for the custom, but there was many.
There's only one choice. There's only one choice. We have to
there
pick
is
up
one.
the steel pulse. We have to pick up the steel pulse.
Okay, you pick the Steel Pulse. That's a good choice because they're coming from Birmingham, and I managed to get the biggest artist from Birmingham to voice against them. And Steel Pulse, David Hines told me that he never voiced the dubplate for Love Injection, so I knew that they didn't have any Steel Pulse, but they had in fact another artist from Steel Pulse. They had they had another artist, Sydney from Steel Pulse, that had done a special for them, and they used that very smartly. When all the night I've been saying, "Hey, you come from Birmingham and you can't play Steel Pulse," and I played many Steel Pulse. In the dub I played the custom, and that's when they popped the only Steel Pulse that they had in the box, Sydney tune, which wasn't a big tune, but the fact that I had been saying all night. And that's what Corporal was smart for. He came on the mic and said, "Hey, all night Sergio has been saying we cannot play Steel Pulse. If I play Steel Pulse, can I get this point?" And boom, he played his tune and get the forward with it. But there was another highlight before you play the custom that night for me in terms of customs was getting Papa Levi, because it's the same. Papa Levi was a legendary name in the dancehall business, but that's from Saxon, of course, a Saxon MC and a British MC that had been famous for being maybe the first UK artist to make a #1 in Jamaica with Me God Me King. That was the first time a UK artist actually reached #1 in the charts in Jamaica. So very important artist. And Saxon was like the arch nemesis, the ultimate enemy of Love Injection. So of course, getting Papa Levi to do a special against them, and in the intro he say, "Yeah, Love Injection, you know we're coming a long way. Like, hey, we know each other for years, and tonight I'm gonna put the next nail in your coffin."
Wicked.
And so that was big. And at the time there wasn't a lot of sounds neither playing Papa Levi on dubplate. That's something you wouldn't hear so often. So yeah, that's another one I was very proud, and there was many more dubs that night.
There was, I remember you played, I think a Bunny Lila custom you played in this clash. You played a Papa Kojak custom in this clash. So there were a lot of customs. So let me play one of the Steel Pulse customs, and please signal me when to pull up the tune. I don't want to pull up too early.
You can
just signal.
This one I go to the damage straight.
Yeah, Kazwa. This a wound coming like a self-infliction. Because Love Injection, you want to say, Sergio, I will send you back to Birmingham, all the way from Switzerland. Steel Pulse says so. And as a Geneva Convention, Love Injection, we just have to mention the Steel Pulse say, article, I go killing all. Send you back to Birmingham. Hey. Heartical Sound, I come to kill Love Injection. I said to you, I bury Love Injection. Heartical Sound, I come to kill Love Injection. I said to you, I bury Love Injection. Heartical Sound, yes, you wear the crown. Let's say, Alpha Crescent, boy, you must leave town. Yes. If a song boy ever come to war, we kill Love Injection here and far. Yes.
We happy black, we happy boss. And this is song the people love most. Run, run, run.
Yeah, man, take it away.
Wicked.
Yeah, man, that was another big thing, because getting steel pulse to do dubs was quite new at the time. You didn't have many sounds with steel pulse on dub. I was contacted by David, who was in France with a girl called Silvana at the time, and who said, "Oh, David is okay to do some dubs." So it was like a surprise, because he wasn't a regular name to be doing dub sessions. So I contacted all the sounds I had in my links, and I was surprised the amount of big sounds who contacted me saying, "Yeah, we need some steel pulse." And some of those big sounds, I'm very proud to say, was like Kilimanjaro. So I voiced
Serious?
Yeah, I
Wow.
voiced steel pulse
Wow.
for Jaro. I voiced steel pulse for Massive B. That first session, yeah, there was some incredible names. The guys in the studio were looking at me like, "You
Wow.
seriously voicing for Jaro? You seriously
That
voicing
is
for
wicked.
us?"
That is history, people.
Yeah,
That is what we are here for, right? This
yeah,
is what we are here
that
for.
that
Strictly
was very
facts.
surprising.
Wicked.
And of course,
Wicked.
Eddie Yama, you mentioned Eddie Yama was your guest in the last program. We were working together for some sessions, because I would get artists that they cannot find, and they would line up the orders and send them to me. So I ended up doing, I don't know, I cannot count the amount of dubs I did. And Steel Pulse was very reasonable with the price. David was really cool, because you could expect, that's the first UK group to get a Grammy, to if you don't know. So of course they could be like, give me 1,000 US, and people would have said okay, and it was just asking very reasonable fees. So of course there was a lot of work for him, and we did many sessions. But yeah, the most amazing thing was the amount of big sounds that had never been in contact with him, and were so happy to be able to put a steel pulse in their box.
Wicked. Wow, that's very interesting. Wicked.
Cool.
For real. 2 years later now, 2009, Italy, Venice, Northern Lights.
Yeah, man, big clash again. That was a really great night.
How did this one go down?
Yeah, we win this one, so that's the first thing we must have mentioned. And it wasn't obvious, because if you know, winning a trophy against an Italian sound in Italy is something that had never really happened before. In fact, when you go to clash an Italian sound in Italy, usually you lose. That we had the example of Stentol in France, who had clashed with One Love. We had a few more examples, and it was really hard to win a trophy against an Italian sound in Italy. And I did something that was like unexpected. I started to chat that night with an Italian accent. In fact, instead of using my Jamaican patois accent, I used an Italian accent over my Jamaican patois accent to make sure that the people would understand really the arguments and stuff. And it worked incredibly good. Like the people were really down with me and laughing, because I was making like kind of fun of the situation. And yeah, that night we brought back the trophy to France. Northern Lights had really prepared the clash very seriously. They had a lot of customs as well against us. They had prepared some counteractions to our tunes, and spent some money on all the latest new tunes. At the time, I remember them playing Brahma, playing some all the new tunes that were out there. They had that cut on special, and we came more with the foundation aspect, like saying, okay, we're going to play the foundation box and use that to good effect, and also use the Italian artists that we are in contact with. Remember that clash was in Venice. So in Venice there was an artist called Mighty Chess. And Mighty Chess was like the top artist from the area, and we knew him because he had invited us to a couple shows before. And so I asked him, would you do some custom dubs for that night? He said, yeah, man, I will do it for you, and be sure I won't voice for Northern Lights. So I was safe with those customs. Those created really a big impression on the crowd, because they weren't expecting a French sound to come and be able to play there area hero, calling up the name, and there were some lines in the lyrics that were very good, like article bring back the trophy to France, with like the Gioconda did of Da Vinci, because the Gioconda is a famous painting that is from Leonardo da Vinci, which is an Italian guy, and this artwork is in France in the Louvre Museum. so there was some kind of fun saying, like, just like the Gioconda of Da Vinci is staying in France.
Yeah.
Now this trophy is going to France. And yeah, some more interesting. I don't know which one you picked that night, but there was some big also foundation dubs that I did as customs for the night, and that managed to be also a winning strategy, because people would really know the foundation dubs while they didn't know the latest tunes from Kingston. In fact, Northern Lights was perhaps a bit too sharp, like that caught all the brand new stuff from Kingston, but people in Europe at the time were not so aware of what was the leading tunes in the streets of Kingston. They were more like, hey, we love Abyssinians, we love Uroy, we love Alton Ellis, Ken Booth, and we played a lot of these. So yeah, it was a good clash. And another technological clash, we were playing acetates, they were playing computer. That was the first clash I think we did against somebody with a computer. They were already mixing with a laptop, and that was really new to us. We were like, okay, they're playing laptop. We haven't stepped to CD yet, and they're already playing laptop. We're still playing our acetates, like old school vinyl, and they are playing laptop. Wow! But we win. We tactic them hard that night.
And you mentioned earlier when you've been to New York, you played some juggling dances in 2005, 2006.
Yeah.
2013, you get your first call to actually clash in New York. Rise of the Blood.
True, Ride of the New Blood was a clash by D-Rose Promotion and King Bros Music. Big them up. These guys were like, some fans of Heartical that had been listening our audios and said, oh, we really want to bring you to clash. So we were invited to clash in Albany Manor. Albany Manor is one of the hotspots of the clash culture at the time, and against Black Magic, with a veteran sound from New York, which had not been very active the years before, but had a box like with those by Early B, with the Garnet Silk, with Dennis Brown, of course, and BBC Hi-Fi, which I didn't know about when they booked me. I just studied them a bit after, and I discovered this. The white guy you see is Robbie Kenner. He's like a big reggae journalist also. So he had a lot of links. Charlie Brown in the middle, and the great late Seaborn is the selector who passed away sadly. Yeah, rest in peace, Seaborn. It's very sad to see, in fact, the amount of people I clashed who have passed away. But it's true that it's like this. Corporal Billy, King Whitey, and now Seaborn as well. And so I said, okay, BBC might be the surprise for the night, because I don't know really what to expect from them. And in fact, that night I managed to go to the Dub Dub. In fact, we eliminated BBC, and it was Black Magic versus Heartical in the Dub Dub. And the night was hosted by a guy called Jimmy Spliff, that man now you know as the King Shine, the Don. So big up Jimmy Spliff, because he did a really good job emceeing that night. And it was a big honor for me to clash in New York, which is like the mecca of sound clash. And again, it was the first official booking for French sound to go clash in the US. And in the attendance, you had people like Tech Nine, you had the Downbeat Tony's crew, you had like Massive B, Bobby Condos called me, oh, I'm sorry, I cannot come, I have something tonight, but I would have come for sure. It was like amazing for a small French sound like me to go there and be like the talk of the town for one night. So.
Did you notice any difference, any major difference with clashing in New York versus clashing
in
New York?
Of course, big difference, because when I used my foundation, some foundations were too deep for New York, like they didn't know those tunes. And I lost in the Dub Dub for a few points due to that, due to the fact that I used some dubs that were obviously too popular. And there was this guy called Coach Sean Anderson, maybe you know the coach.
Yes.
Of course, from the Sound Clash fraternity, and he was in the room too, in the venue, and he came to see me and say, "Oh, you have to play your Bob Andy, Marcia Griffith. You have to play this and that." And I was like, "No, but nowadays that's everybody has got Marcia and Bob. I'm not going to play that. I'm going to play something deep that nobody has." And it was a mistake on my side, because if I had played, I guess Bob Andy and Marcia would have get a huge forward. Just because that was tunes that were rated at the time.
Yeah.
But that has been always my trademark to play some dubs that are really deep and that nobody really knows. And years later, you have other songs that bust and manage to win sometimes some big clashes using the same dubs, because in the meantime, yeah, the dubs have become more popular. Yeah, it happens.
Later in 2013, it was a clash in UK. Battle of the Dubplates facing Sir Coxsone. Youthman Promotion, King Tubby's.
History, big history. Yeah. When I get the booking for that one, I couldn't believe it. Really, I said, "Are you seriously asking me to clash against Sir Coxsone, Youthman Promotion, King Tubby's the same night? Like one of these guys alone would be a big match. You're throwing three of them and asking me to come to top the lineup. I should be doing like the warm up. Maybe you should leave those three together doing their business, no?" And they said, "No, we know your box. We really want you to go against them. Think you will be the element of surprise and rare." I said, "Okay, let's go." It was in a festival, and as soon as I reached the festival, I realized that I was in Coxsone area, like Pierre Coxsonians all around. Because in fact, during the day we would play a few sets, and later on in the night was the clash. So already during the day I had played my set, and Sir Coxsone, Lloydie Coxsone was there. I remember he picked me up saying, "Oh, you play some really good tunes, that's my type of music." I play some selection on the Slaving Rhythm and on the From Creation being a big anthem from Sir Coxsone, and he came and picked me up. But when he played his sound, I noticed like the crowd, we really went crazy, and it was really fanatics of Sir Coxsone that were there to see Sir Coxsone win, and that's what happened. At the end of the night, Sir Coxsone win the clash, not against me in the Dub Dub, it was against Youthman Promotion, and Youthman Promotion did a really good job. Of course, they dropped some incredible dubs that night, like the Sugar Minot and Tenaso combination, like some Dennis Brown dubs, and some incredible combos and tunes that they had in the box. The original blueprint for Ring the Alarm, because as you know, Ring the Alarm on Stagalag is a tune created for Youthman Promotion originally. So hearing those dubs that night was like, whoa. And in front of that, Coxsone, in fact, was a bit of a letdown, because he didn't have the whole box. I don't know what happened exactly. There is a story between him and Festus, and also with Black at Red, and there is a story in Sir Coxsone box that he didn't have all the dubs. So he played a lot of pre-releases and rare mixes that were not calling his name really. It was like the old-time dubplate style, like you would have an alternate mix of Marcus Garvey by Burning Spear or stuff like that, and managed to get forward. But he played back his own tune. That was very big surprise for me. He finished this round with Junior Reid playing Fit You Happy Feet on High Fashion Studio One, and started the next round with the same Junior Reid Fit You Happy Feet on High Fashion. So usually you manage to play back the tunes of your opponent, but playing back your own tune and getting away with it, getting the trophy after that was and I went to him at the end of the night. I remember talking with Lloydie, and I say, "Hey Lloydie, you realize you played back your own tune?" He said, "The crowd never noticed it." He looked at me very seriously like this, very calmly, and said, "The crowd never noticed it." And he went back home with the trophy. And yeah, big up Sir Coxsone same way, because he's a legendary soundman. And Youthman Promotion was a big honor for me, because that's the sound of my mentor, of my professor, Sugar Minot. And I said, "Oh, I will never clash with them, because that's Sugar sound. I cannot go against the guy who really teach me a lot of this sound clash and sound system artwork." But at the time, of course, Sugar Minot had passed away, so I know it was not Sugar who was doing the sound that night. It was like the UK branch of Youthman Promotion. And I said, "Okay, I can take it." And of course, I will never diss them like too bad, because I have too much respect for them. So we went on to do this clash, and this clash was there was a rule of no customs. I think so. There was no customs on that night. So of course that took away part of the dissing thing that can happen in a clash when you have customs. And yeah, Tubbies did a good job too, but Tubbies dropped before the Dub as well.
Okay. Wow. Very interesting. Very interesting. So after 2013, there was like a couple of years break from you, from the clashing scene, and then in 2016 it's back on the road. Against an Italian sound, Shanty Crew.
Yeah.
Tell us about this clash. What happened there? I think there were 3 rounds. You won the first round. The second round went to Shanti Crew, and then from what I saw on the video, the third round was re-voted like 15 times. I don't know, like
Yeah.
re-voted and re-voted and re-voted. So what happened at this clash?
At this clash, yeah, Shanti Crew had come prepared as well for the clash. We had also a good preparation on our side because I had a few audios from Shanti Crew, and the guy who was on the mic, Chiancone, aka Victorio, used to be a guy who booked Heartical in the past, so we had a really good contact, and the guys who booked the clash that night wanted to have a Heartical against Shanti Crew in Milano. I think it's in Milano, yes, this clash. So I said, okay, well, it's going to be another hard fight because fighting an Italian on Italian territory is a bit of a problem. But yeah, we managed to win the clash. At the end, there was the Dub Dub, and we really managed to take over in the Dub Dub and went back home with the trophy. Very, very nice clash in terms of quality of dubs played because Shanti Crew's got an interesting box and a lot of combos and interesting dubs. And yeah, I remember Domenico, the selector, being like kind of a bit vexed at the end because he really wanted to win, but like we all want to win that clash. But also due to the fact that there was some people in the audience that kind of diss him, like calling him a countryman or something like that, and he didn't enjoy that aspect of the audience being disrespectful. It wasn't people that we know personally or whatever, but there was this aspect, and I realized sometimes it's easier to be a foreigner. In fact, in your own country, you might get a fight from people who don't want you to see you shine. You know, it happened to us in France as well, of course, when we were clashing Supersonic or other people. There were also the haters were there to make you to see you drop, and they were so happy. That's part of the game. That's part of the game.
Of course. So you won this one against Shanti Crew, and this one leads up all to 2017. What was a very, very busy year for Heartical on the
Yeah, it started a kind of killing spree, in fact, because we won many clashes, maybe 6 clashes in a row after that. So it was like, all of a sudden,
let's start with the first one. The first one in Italy. Again, this one against a sound from Switzerland.
Yeah, Magic Toots. So this one was promoted by Shanti Crew. In fact, Shanti Crew were like a good sportsman because they booked us after that to go and for their clash called Rain Dubplate Tonight. It's a clash that was happening every year, and they had a few editions already. And Magic Toots had won the previous edition against Caliweed, in fact. So they were the defending champions, and Heartical was like the outsider. In fact, we were coming to try to take the crown from them, and we managed to do it. So we win that clash again. Magic Toots is the same. That was a clash, I think, again without any customs allowed. So it was 100 box for box in the clash, and Magic Toots had some very good dubs, and we also had our dubs in store. We managed to counteract and destroy some of their anthems, I would say, that night. And I also bossed for the first time an artist which is now sadly passed away, called Manu Dibango. Manu Dibango is a legendary saxophonist from France who did this tune, Mama Se Mama Ko Mama Makossa. Reggae Makossa. Soul Makossa is the original, but there is a Reggae Makossa version, and that was another blueprint in the box to get this artist to do some dubs. So I was very happy to be able to play that in a clash for the first time. And big clash again, big time in Italy, and starting to become like a usual thing that we go to Italy and win trophies.
And win trophies, yeah. So while we're talking about Magic Tools, we have to also say rest in peace to Basil.
Yeah, Basil, another soundman gone.
Another soundman gone, most definitely.
Yeah,
I think that is a very important aspect of our show and our platform, to remember the greats and the people that contributed to the game we all love. So
Yeah, and Basil was
big up,
really,
Basil.
really nice guys. All the guys from Magic Tools were really nice because when we win the clash, I mean, they came after and say, "Oh, enough respect. We are happy to lose against you because you are somebody we really rate." But I remember Basil really being funny and thing because usually when you lose, you're a bit sad, because you wanted to bring that trophy like everybody. But Basil was already making fun that night. So, yeah, we had some talk. I remember him telling me, "Oh, my favorite tune is when you play General Levy saying stigiding, stigiding, stigiding." Just to say, "Oh yeah, that's my favorite tune," and it was just making fun like this,
Yeah, man, big up.
and we had a good time. Yeah, and we had played already with Magic Toots a few times in Switzerland. Even one night was like a hardcore juggling edition, and we had done a dub feed up with them, a long dub feed up that night, and people were looking forward to see us clash again because that long dub feed up that we did wasn't very clear. Like we were like balanced and tied, and in this clash, yeah, we managed to win, but it was the same. I think we win like
with 1
two or
point.
three rounds, and then they win one round, and then they did a remontada. Like they started to make some points in the dub feed up, and it was close. In fact, in the end, while we had been leading the early part of the clash, we win like 2 or 3 rounds, and I was getting a bit cocky, like saying, "Hey, maybe you're going to get lock off because now the rules have changed. Remember, now we are in the days where if you lose all the rounds, there isn't no dub feed up for you." So I remember, and the crowd gave them the last round, so we went to the dub feed up, and in the dub feed up they were recovering quick. And I was like, "Shit, maybe I'm going to lose now."
Yeah, that was close.
Usually it's the reverse. I'm more the man that don't dominate really the rounds, and I mash you up in the dub feed up. But in this occasion was the reverse. I managed to dominate the rounds and almost get smashed up in the dub feed up. Yeah, different style.
Big up Magic Tools. Big
up Magic Tools. Rest in peace, Basil.
The second clash of 2017. Back to Germany. Heartical in one of the few multiple sound clashes, I want to say, like where you don't clash one-on-one. And from what I remember from this clash, this was, let me say, controversial. Let me say it this way. The ending of this clash. From what I remember, Mountain High, that is something that I never experienced as well, was the promoter, was
and the referee. Yeah, that was a very bad experience, in fact, and yeah, it's like this. We managed to win it, but in fact it was very controversial because there was no proper announcement of the victory due to the fact that Montenay was referee and also taking part in the clash. And I remember when I reached there, he had booked me saying that Sultan from Herbalize it would be the referee. So I was confident that there was a referee and a good one because Sultan is somebody who knows about sound clash, so it shouldn't be a problem for him to judge, and I was comfortable with that. When I arrived, I said, "Where is Sultan?" He said, "No, there is no Sultan, so we are going to do the judging ourselves. One of the members of my crew will ask the crowd." I say, "Oh no, that's not nice, man, because it's kind of biased. If you win, people will say that you win because you use your power as a host to win the dance, and if you lose, it's really bad as well because anyway, that was not a good thing." So I said, "Okay, so you have some rules at least that we can implement?" I said, "No, there is no rules. We're just going to trust each other." And I said, "No, we must write down some rules, like no playback, like you can't play splice, like the rounds are this long, and if you finally play your tune, you can play your tune like even if it's after the timer is gone. If you start to play your tune before the timer is done, you can still play your tune if you need to reach a certain part of the lyrics or something." All these type of small rules that we usually write down and agree on before a clash were not written. So I just asked him to make a meeting with Royalty Sound, who was from Canada, and him, Mountain Eye, and me, and we sit down and write the rules, and everybody agreed by the rules, and so it was okay. We went to the clash and we said, "Okay, there is no choice. They want to make the voting like this by adding somebody from Mountain Eye," and luckily enough, Mountain Eye got eliminated the first. So there was no controversy on that aspect. We went to Dub Dub with royalty, but the controversy appeared when all of a sudden royalty playback tunes in the round already. But the major playback was in the Dub Dub, where they played back one of the tunes I had played in the rounds, and they make some argument saying, "Oh, Sergio, you have said I cannot play Harold Dunkley. Look, I played." So I never said that you didn't play Harold Dunkley. I played Owen Gray, and I said you cannot play Owen Gray, and obviously they couldn't play it. and then when suddenly they saw that they were losing the clash, there was 5 friends of royalty were there. Or 4 friends, and they went like on stage screaming royalty win, and they took the trophy and ran out of the club. That was surrealistic. I said, is it really happening? Like there was no winner declared officially, but obviously you couldn't win with what you have done in the final parts. And like the crowd was like so upset that almost all the people left the club, and it was like a strange, the strangest night, I think, for me, for a clash to see this.
But from the impression that I had, was royalty was really, and I say that without any kind of disrespect, but they were confused this night. What I remember is that MC was talking about that he's the defending champion of this clash, and it was the first time this clash was keeping.
Yeah.
I mean, they defeated. I think it was in 2015, Shaolin.
Yeah, Shaolin, yeah.
But this was the clash that they called the Rumble in the Jungle, and not the Defend and Conquer.
No, it had nothing to do, and and I know that this guy, the MC called Thunder, he just wanted to win and bring back something to Canada. So that night it was like, no matter what happens, I'm taking that trophy, and he did that. He really ran out of the club with the trophy and took some pictures. but you can see in the pictures he's in the street. He's in the middle of the street somewhere, not in the club. Anybody who wins officially a trophy takes a picture on stage with the crowd and everything. No, he's hiding somewhere in a hall, in a small room, and then taking those pictures. And yeah, there was a big. We tried to talk it out later on, and he was like, "Oh no, you have to come to Canada, and I give you a rematch." I say, "Okay, if you want, I can kill you in Canada. It's not, but you shouldn't even be boasting about that, about winning this, because the audio is going to tell everybody what happened, and it's exactly what happened, because the audio was released like a few days after, and everywhere on the website said they wrote Heartical won that clash. So there was no debate when you listen to the audio. It was so blatant, like. They really kill themselves in the Dub Dub. So it go.
I saw it go.
But yeah, sadly enough, royalty is famous in Canada for being a very, very bad loser. In fact, there is some terrible stories about them, around them, what they can do when they see that they are losing a clash. To avoid defeat, they would do some crazy stuff to make the dance stop and leave the place. So there is some stories like this, and after all this thing, when I discovered all these stories, I was not surprised that his reaction was the one that he had.
And then the last clash for 2017, you're back in Spain against 2 Spanish songs, Chalice and Highlight.
Yeah, that was a very nice clash, yeah, for real. Clashing in Spain, people might not know, but my name is Sergio, or Sergio for the Jamaicans, but Sergio is my real name, and I'm half French and half Spanish. In fact, my 2 parents are Spanish, but I'm born in France. So of course, for me, clashing in Spain is always something that I wanted to do, and the only opportunity we had was this clash in 2001, which was not a real clash. So years later, I was finally granted the opportunity to go and do a real clash in Barcelona, so a very nice city to top it, and against one son from the area, Highlight, one son from the capital, Madrid, Chalice Sound, and Heartical representing for France. So yeah, very, 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 very nice match. Where there was some surprises as well, as usual, but we heard some dubs that night that hadn't been played for a long time, including one Supercat Dubplate. Remember, that was the time when Supercat was just starting to cut dubs again.
Yes.
And when Supersonic and iShens got their dubs in Barcelona, Chalice Sound was there as well. And Chalice had a Supercat Dubplate, so that's something that nobody was expecting from a Spanish sound to play. And they were playing also some big tunes, like some Damian Marley and stuff. Highlight was like the defending champion because they had won the previous edition, and they were from the area. So that was mostly the sound that I was looking after, because I said, oh, they're coming there with a lot of support due to the fact that they are from the area. They're gonna have their supporters. While the Madrid sound, there is a kind of competition between Madrid and Barcelona. So having a guy from Madrid coming to Barcelona to clash, even if this guy in fact is Catalan, so he can speak the local language, the Catalan. But I was like more looking for Highlight to give me trouble than Chalice, and it was what happened. Highlight went to the dub with me, and it was a tough opponent. They dropped some solid dubs as well.
I believe in this clash in the dub, this is the first time a Dandy Livingstone and the Enos McLeod dub was ever played, right?
Yeah, I think it was the first time, but it's funny because I've had the Enos McLeod for years in the box. That's something that I cut. I must have cut that maybe in 2004 or 2003, and it took me 10 years to boss it because I didn't have the rhythm properly edited. In fact, if you check the cheater, the song By the Look in Your Eyes, there is also a version very close by Dennis Brown called Cheater, and in fact the rhythm have a lot of overdubs. And when I cut that dub in 2003 or 2004, we weren't into looping rhythms and cleaning and editing, so we would just use what we've got, like the B-side of the record, and it didn't sound clean because there was a lot of overdubs coming all over the dub, and I said, oh, I'm not going to be able to use this because it doesn't sound clean enough. So it was only like years later that I said, okay, nowadays we know how to edit rhythms and clean them, so I should have a look into this and some more dubs in the box that I have never been able to play because I wasn't satisfied with the final result. And let's clean it. And we cleaned it and edited it, and it sounded incredible. So of course we bossed the Enos McLeod that night, and also the Larry Marshall, I think, Run Babylon. That was another tune that I hadn't played, I think, yet. There was some dubs like this that we bust on this occasion, and I again used the local artists to make a difference. And there is a guy called Adala. Adala is like the big hype artist from Catalonia at the moment, and I managed to get him to do a dub plate. Of course, Highlight had some dubs by Adala, but Highlight are from the area, so everybody expected them to play. So when they played that, they thought they had something that I couldn't play, and I replied saying, yeah, I can play it too. So that was a big forward in the dance that night. But yeah, the dub dub was something really epic.
Yeah, it was not an ordinary dub dub.
No, not ordinary, nothing ordinary.
You won this clash as well, right?
Yeah, I won it. I won that one. Yeah.
So I think that a lot of sounds should make notes, because a lot of times voicing the local artists is like an advantage. Like I can really get it on. So sounds, do your homework.
Yeah. When you do your homework, you can notice the difference. It's true.
Definitely. So this was 2017. 2018, the first clash.
Yeah, that was another big event for us, because going against two sounds, as you say, usually we do a lot of 1-to-1, but recently we had been doing like these 3 sounds, and you're never sure to reach the dub dub. You prepare for a night, and maybe you're going to drop before. And then Warina West was the first edition, I think, that they did, if I'm not mistaken. So yeah, we are going back to Germany, but to clash against a German sound, Culture Rock, which had a very good reputation because they are also into the production business, so they have a good level of creating tunes and some good links in Jamaica. And then the next one was Treasure Isle, and Treasure Isle, I knew him because I had been cutting dubs for him for a few years, when usually I get some deep artists that nobody really knows about or cares about, because they don't know that this artist has such a big tune, and maybe it's only 2-3 years later everybody wakes up and says, oh, this tune is big, I need it. But usually I have the link before a lot of people, and I offer it, and nobody really cares. And there was always one sound who was like, yeah, I want it. Yeah, I know this tune. Yeah, that's something. And that was Treasure Isle. Treasure Isle. I must give him my respect, because every time I drop a good name or a good foundation artist, he would say, yeah, I take some. Yeah. I remember I did those first sessions as well with Owen Gray, and he was there. And yeah, Trigger Finger was the next one. And there is some songs like this that I have been cutting dubs for them for many occasions when I get something rare and unusual, and that's when people. It's not every sound wants that, you know. When you say Steel Pulse, of course, everybody wants it because it's a Grammy, AWA, blah blah blah. But when you say Owen Gray, when you say some other names like this, it's not every sound wakes up and says I'm gonna get some cuts. And Treasure Isle was one of them. So I said, oh, it's going to be an interesting match because these guys know about Foundation too. So we're going to have a nice time in Germany. And yeah, what a night it was. Some huge forwards in the clash, and sadly enough the audio was damaged, so there is no proper audio. There is some snippets that you can see, some videos, and you can see what the vibes was like. And yeah, Treasure Isle dropped first, then Culture Rock and me went dub dub, and Culture Rock has some solid dubs, so it was also an epic dub dub where there was some good surprises in on both sides, but I managed to win again and bring the trophy.
And it's funny that you're saying that the audio got damaged. Luckily, I was there. I was at this class.
You was there.
I was there. Yeah. I went there with Zebulon from Foundation Sound. Big up Zebulon.
Yeah, Zebulon was there. I remember seeing Zebulon on the backside.
Zebulon was there, and one thing that I really remember from this clash. I think it was in the third round. In the second round, one sound played the Rude Boy shuffling rhythm.
Yeah, true.
But they never played the original artist on it. They
No.
played the Israel vibration on
That's
it.
Culture Rock. Culture Rock played Idonia and Buju Banton on the rhythm.
And then you came in.
Not Idonia. They played the Buju. Yeah, they played the Buju. Yeah.
And then you came in and said, okay, you played the Rude Boy shuffling, but you never played the original artist on it. And then you played the Israel vibration. It was like mayhem.
Yeah. There was some huge forward that night, I remember.
The club mush up, yeah, man, definitely. That's the thing that I really remember that stands out to me when you said, okay, you played the selection on it, but you never played the original artist. What happened to you? So and then you dropped the Israel vibration, and then.
And Culture Rock did some playback tune, and I remember because they were saying, "Oh, Sergio, you're around them shaky," and I came back and say, "Oh, the only shaky thing I see is when you play back that tune."
For real.
People were like giving big forwards for that speech.
That was funny. So big up Mystical Force, the promoters.
Yeah, true.
Big up Mystical Force, and yeah, man, another trophy for Heartical.
Yeah, big up Mystical Force, who has been keeping this clash because there was more. We're going to talk about it here. There was more editions of those clashes, and hopefully it will come back soon again because we have another French sound defending the title now. So I hope that Mystical Force gonna keep with it. Big up Rene.
And later on that year, you had a rematch, a 14-year first clash with Soul Stereo.
Yeah, that was a really awaited clash. Like lots of people were saying, when is it going to happen? Matter of fact, it could have happened very quick. When we lose against them in 2004, there was an offer in 2006. In fact, Irie Heights contacted us and said, "Oh, we want to do Soul Stereo versus Heartical versus Guiding Star, and we're going to pay you good money, really good money at the time, and keep it in a big club." And it was, yeah, we agree. So we're ready for it because we really want a revenge. And so Stereo canceled the clash. They said they didn't want to take part after saying first that they would do it. They backed down, and that was when Irie canceled that clash and kept instead Supersonic versus One Love. If you remember that clash. So that was that opportunity. Then there was another opportunity. It was Irie Crew who offered to organize a rematch in Nancy, like in neutral ground outside of Paris. And the same thing happened. So Stereo didn't reply to the offer. Like they just didn't want to do that rematch. Obviously, it took them years to say okay, and all of a sudden, I get a link from Cartel, the promoter, Cartel Concerts. Big up Cartel because he really defends clash culture by keeping events for years now, and saying, yeah, so Stereo wants to clash you again. Are you willing? I say, of course I'm willing. I've been waiting for this for years, and yeah, that was the night of the big rematch and revenge.
I believe in round 5 you played a Sting and Shaggy. Was it a combo or a jingle or?
No, it's the intro. It's an intro. In fact, I interviewed Sting and Shaggy when they released their album. They have an album in common
Yes,
called
yes.
76, not 4476, something like this, which was nominated for Grammy, etc. And I was lucky enough to interview these two gentlemen in Paris, and I had some equipment to do recording. Then I asked them if they would do some dubplates, and Sting was like, "Oh, I'm not too sure about dubplates, but I can do some jingles for you." So we get these exclusive jingles by Sting. In fact, he did some dubs, but only for a song called Gibraltar. That's the song from Sting International. From the very close friend of Shaggy. So there is some real Sting dubs out there, but I think that's the only ones that he did.
Okay.
Not even Tarantula, Tarantula from Poison Dart was part of the writing team for the album, and I don't think he managed to get some for Poison Dart. At least I haven't heard them. So unless somebody correct me, I think Sting finally didn't get into the Clash dubplate business so deep, but I managed to get this. So I said, okay, I'm going to use it because it's such an exclusive thing. So yeah, I played it that night and get a nice little forward. And yeah, I was playing also some other unleaded dubplates and Soul Stereo as well. There were some rules. We had set up the rules as you know, as I said before, I love the rules to be clear. And so one of the rules was no customs allowed that night. But the first thing that Soul Stereo did that night was to play an intro custom in his first round, and then drop another custom that used in our previous clash, which was John Wayne, Reggie Steppa, and Anthony Red Rose combination. So I was like, whoa, they're really breaking the rules that bad. It's a lucky thing that an artist had contacted me spontaneously without me asking and saying, oh, I want to make a custom for you for that clash. But I told him no, but the rule is no customs. Oh, I'm going to do it still, and if you can use it, just use it. If you don't use it, no problem. So I had that custom under the belt, just waiting for the right moment to drop if needed. And the funny story about that artist is that he had contacted Soul Stereo as well. He had first contacted them saying, if you want, I can make a custom. And Soul Stereo had said, no, we don't want your custom. So in fact, he contacted me and he said, okay, since you said yes, I'm going to do it for you, and I will not make no counteraction. So I knew I had this artist, which is a French artist, Ital General, big him up. We cannot say it's a major artist or famous or what, but quality artist for real, and also an engineer. He's an engineer who mixes a lot of dubs for sound, so he knows the clash business very good. Big up his studio, Crystal Mixage, and he did that custom for me, really with brilliant lyrics. We had the idea for the lyrics. I knew what I wanted him to say in the lyrics, and he really did it very good. Those lyrics were literally destroying Soul Stereo, telling their story of a song which has a big dub box but has been hiding from clashes for years. In fact, in 20 years they didn't do much clashes because every time there is an opportunity, sadly enough, they don't take it. And I told that story in the lyrics of the custom, and it was a major forward, the biggest forward for the night, really, and really a nail in the coffin. Like they were losing already the rounds and thing, but after that custom, everybody was like, oh, they are really dead now. And yeah, they did that mistake of playing the customs when it was not allowed, and I took the opportunity asking the crowd, hey, they have broken the rules, can I break the rules too? Do you want to hear one custom from Heartical? And everybody was like, yeah, we want the custom. Drop the custom. Forward was huge. So yeah, that was the night.
One thing that caught my eye again was an exclusive Pablo Moses.
True. There was some Pablo Moses played that night, and one of them was the Pablo Moses Give I the Trophy, which is like a massive tune for me. It's Give I Fi, I named the original tune, but that's another tune that Pablo had never done as a special. Pablo has done a few specials, of course. I think Heavy Hammer has got some special from Pablo. There was also some other French songs. In France, we have a song who has a combination Pablo Moses and Uroy, and Legal plays also Pablo Moses. So having Pablo Moses is is a rare thing, but not so rare. In fact, it can happen. But having certain tunes from Pablo Moses done that have never been done, that's something I'm proud of, and yeah, that's one of them. Give I Fee I Name. So I wrote down the lyrics and I managed to edit and clean the rhythm for that special. And I interviewed Pablo Moses in Paris, and we had a good vibes. And I tell him, would you do some dubs? I know you usually you turn down the dub offers. You're not too fond of that, but he said, yeah, I will do it for you. It's cool. Just arrange the thing. So we went to his hotel with a mobile studio, and we voiced in the hotel room. There is some. I put the videos on YouTube, so you can see some of the dubs he did, and he did a really great job. He was like on top form, and having fun doing the dubs. So it was cool.
Well done. We move on now. 2019 War in the US. Article against Million Vibes from Sweden, Mortal Kombat from Germany.
Yeah, so that was the end of the killing spree because we didn't win. That was after winning. It's funny because you get used to it. There is a moment where you say, okay, it seems like I can win anything, and no, you cannot win. You're not gonna win everything. So I was the defending champion, of course, for that edition, and Million Vibes and the next song. Sorry, remind me the next song. It's Million Vibes and
Mortal Kombat.
And Mortal Kombat from Germany. So Mortal Kombat, I knew that they were cutting hard and they had done some dubs as well. And Million Vibes was a song that had clashed with a French song called Lion Scratch once and had lost. So I was like, well, Million Vibes might not be the big opponent. I'm more expecting Mortal Kombat to be like a problem for me because they are from Germany and because I know that they are cutting hard and putting a lot of investment and efforts in the clash. So I prepared more for Mortal Kombat to be trouble. And in fact, it's Million Vibes who won that clash, and it was a surprise for the night because they had a new MC. It was his first clash. What's his name? Michael, I think. Michael, yeah. Mikey Real Rock or Michael, and he did a good job. Really, he was into the clash, and I wasn't really in my element. I don't know. That night was not a good night for us. So I think we dropped first. And it was Mortal Kombat versus Million Vibes who went to the feed-up. So for one time, I was able to watch the others clashing while I was in the crowd. That's something I had lost the habit, but yeah, it was a good clash against a clash without customs. I think that was the rule again, and everybody respected the rule this time. Yeah.
And then later on in 2019. Clashed again with Guiding Star.
Yeah, well, that's another weekend.
Between you guys? Is there a rivalry?
Yeah, rivalry is much smaller than with Soul Stereo, but we had already clashed with Guiding Star in the past, and Guiding Star we had done one clash, and Guiding Star had won that clash. So one-to-one song clash with Guiding Star that they had won. So that was our next one-to-one song clash, and the first one was called Paris Champion, I think, and this one was the Paris Song Clash Part 2, where we defended our title. So I was getting used to the fact that when you defend your title, it's very hard to keep it because people are expecting you to come with a fresh box and to surprise the audience, while the other one has got the element of surprise, and also all the people who are not happy with you winning the first edition are going to come and try to put you down, of course. And yeah, what a match it was. It was really, really tight. In fact, Guiding Star leading the rounds. I managed to take 1 point in the rounds. They took the rest of the point in the rounds. And in the dub feed dub, I managed to take the lead. Like they were leading and they lost that lead. They dropped the ball in the dub feed dub. Like really in the 3 last dubs, I scored and I managed to get the trophy because when you take the lead, make sure you can maintain it. That's what Sugar Minot was singing about in Sprinter Stayer, long distance runner, and I was the Sprinter Stayer long distance runner that night because I went home with the trophy for the second time. Was very proud because Guiding Star is also a tough song, very loaded. with very good links in Jamaica, close to artists like Chronix and like some top dubs in the box. And again, I prepared some customs for that night because people had been like complaining of the first edition, saying, "Oh, the best thing was the customs; it was forbidden." But in the end, the best thing was the 2 or 3 customs that dropped was the highlight of the night. So let's allow customs this time. So wow, okay, let's allow customs. So it had been a while since we didn't do clash with customs. If you notice, in the last clashes that we mentioned, there was no customs allowed. So it was the comeback of the customs, and I got some interesting customs for the night. Some catch some huge forward and make the people laugh. And I use also some local French artists to destroy some of his anthems, some of Guiding Star anthems, including some Damian Marley. So I was very proud to destroy one Damian Marley with a French artist and one Chronix as well with a French artist at Chronix Counteraction on the Tenement Yard. This big tune that he has was counteracted by 2 guys called Difference, making a big speech about Guiding Star was drinking too much rum, and who drink all the rum, it's Guiding Star. Who drink all the wine, is Guiding Star. You can pay them with a bottle of wine, blah blah blah. And it was really fun. And the same thing with the Namin dubplate from Damian Marley, where I had an artist telling the Guiding Star story instead of Namin, was the whole story of Guiding Star, how they lose this and that, and how they play a fake Movado and blah blah blah. So it was some big fun time. And people was not expecting me to win that one for real, because Guiding Star was supposed to be a much harder opponent than Soul Stereo, because Soul Stereo has a big box and reputation, but was not clashing, as I say, for years. So people didn't really expect them to be sharp on the clash business side. While Guiding Star is the next one with me, and maybe now Irie Crew as well. We are the 3 sons that clash a lot in the history of French recent clash history. So I was happy to bring back that second trophy, of course.
Yeah, there was also a funny moment with the Simpsons. He used the Simpsons as part of
it. Yeah, that was another French thing that really got the people attention, is that I managed to get one of the actors who is doing the voices of the French Simpsons of Mo. You know, Mo has got this bar in Springfield, and of course I get the actor doing the Mo voice to voice an intro for me, saying that he hasn't seen Guiding Star for weeks, and they owe him a lot of money for all the drinking deals that they have in his bar, and they must be too drunk to find back the way to the bar. And then I had a special with this artist from England singing about normally War General. I changed the lyrics to Bar General. So you say you are the war general, but you are a bar general. You drink from Paris to Marseille and blah blah blah. And that was a nice forward again in the night. So a lot of times that's another lesson for our listeners. A good laugh and making fun of your opponent is much better than calling his mother or speaking about his sexual favorite positions. It's better you make the people laugh out of your opponent, and then you're going to score much better. So that's something that I use a lot of times to great effect.
See, yeah, man. And we have one custom here, and I remember what you just mentioned with the Damian Marley tune. I think Guiding Star played it as the last tune in their round, and came back the next round with the counteraction and the play mashup.
Yeah, that catch a huge forward due to the fact that they just finished the round. And same thing happened with Coffee. That the Coffee at the time, Toast was the big tune, and they had Toast as a special, and I had Toast done by a French artist and a UK artist. None of them is, of course, the original, but with custom lyrics. And yeah, that was a nice way to answer when somebody finishes his round. I was lucky because that's something you cannot predict. You have the tunes and you say, I hope that he's going to play this. I hope that maybe, and then he finishes the round with it. You say, oh, it's just so perfect. It's just so perfect. But it's not predictable. It just happens. And when it happens, you have to catch the ball and just shoot it.
Yeah, this was like a movie. This was really like a movie. And I remember them playing it, and then you came in and the rhythm drops because it's I think it's it's on a hip hop rhythm, right?
Yeah, it's a hip hop rhythm. Namin is more of a hip hop rhythm.
But
Wicked rhythm.
the original tune is Junior Gong and Nas, right?
Yeah. Of course, they only have the Damian Marley.
They don't play the complete thing.
No, it's only a few sounds out there who can play Nas and Damian Marley. I think Massive B's got Nas and Damian Marley on As We Enter, the one using this European rhythm. But most of the songs, even Rodigan is playing Nas part as a sample. In fact, it's sampled from the record, and then Junior Gong does the special. But it's only Massive B so far I have heard play the two parts of the
combination. Okay, so let us play one custom from this clash.
Boom bam.
Now this is Ozzy Guy, the original naturalized alongside Heartical, the Paris ruler. Sergio called me. I said Ozzy kill guy guitar tonight in the Paris sound clash. Jacob and him crew. Long dead time, dead and gone. Heartical Sound. Kill another one again. Kill a jump on again. Oh, Heartical Sound. Oh yes. Some boy guiding star, you're dead tonight. Heartical killer, dead. Whoa, Heartical Sound. Them all go bury guiding star in the Paris clash tonight. Some boy go home.
Boom, boom, boom. Yeah, Ozzy God from the Naturalites. Some big major foundation name for me, and of course for the European scene. You have to know Naturalites as one of the big foundation UK bands for reggae, and so getting Ozzy to do a custom, that's something I haven't heard before. Maybe he did it before, I'm not sure. But the fact is that I wrote back the lyrics, and he said, okay, let's do it, and I was very happy to be able to drop this in the dub feed up. That was another big advantage. In fact, that Guiding Star had not prepared for that.
Is Ozzy playing with the Nucleus Roots now, or is still?
Yeah. Usually he tours with Nuclear Roots, but he also does some other works on his side. But he still has got a very nice voice, and he's got some proper. I've got some more dubs from him in the box, but that one is obviously
the big one.
It's the big classic, in my house.
Right. So, 2019 Paris Sound Clash, Heartical Guiding Star. You take it.
Yeah, I took it.
The next clash, which is actually the last clash we have. That we want to talk about with you. It's a 2021 Paris Sound Clash against Iron Crew.
So now I return.
One tune that I personally remember from this clash that stood out to me was the Rod Taylor custom.
One
of the Mr. Moneyman.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, we don't have it right now because I would love to play it. But this one is the one that really stood out to me. But we have another one that I would like to play real quick. And then
if you want to play, if you want the Rod Taylor, I put it on. I put most of the customs. Usually before I didn't release the customs, but now I said, okay, we've got the custom. They are done and they are used. Let's put them on YouTube. So I put a lot of the customs of the recent clashes. If you want to hear Rod Taylor, Mr. Moneyman custom, it's on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/Mr. Heartical, Heartical, and you can hear the custom. The big tune by Rod Taylor.
Check that out. It's like the wicked custom.
It's a nice custom. Of course, you know that Irie Cruz got a lot of dubs and spend a lot of money in their dub box. So it was funny to get this Mr. Moneyman turned into Mr. Money Crew, Mr. Irie Crew, Heartical, I Go Murder You. And this song was made popular again because it appears in the soundtrack of the series Breaking Bad. If you've been following Breaking Bad, you can hear that song playing in the series. And so I said, okay, let's use that song because Rod Taylor is a good friend. We did some shows together. We did a lot of dub sessions. You might not know, but Rod Taylor, legendary artist, known for his song His Imperial Majesty, but for many other songs, in fact, Ethiopian Kings and many more, lives in France, in fact, for years. He married a French girl and has been there since since more than 20 years. So of course we have a very good contact, and it was an obvious thing to do a custom with him.
Big up Rotator, definitely,
Yeah.
definitely. I played with him a couple of times, and he was always a pleasure to work with him.
Nice guy.
So the one custom that we are going to play before we talk about this clash in detail is your Ernest Wilson custom. Let me load this real quick, and here we go.
I recruit one dead right now. Heartical Sound gonna murder you tonight. Ernest Wilson says so. We're not afraid of no idiot sound. We come to kill. We're not a friend. I recruited now when Heartical Sound plays. We've got the music to kill them night and day. Oh, I know what to say. Heartical Sound kill you in every way. Soundboy, you got to run away. Every time Heartical play, we are the number one. We got the music like the birds in the trees. We got the sweetest song that we can play. Yeah, I guess you say you're not a good sound boy. Run away. Now, the great Heartical play. I recruit you dead. Heartical Sound gets straight to you.
Yeah, man. Yeah, man, the great late Ernest Wilson. So rest in peace, Ernest Wilson. It was a strange coincidence that he passed away like 1 week before the clash, I think, or maybe 10 days before the clash, and we had voiced that special with him, of course. In fact, this this clash was supposed to be kept the year after the Guiding Star one, so it should have been 2020, and it got cancelled due to this pandemic that we have been going through, and it was postponed for 1 year. So in fact, I had certain dubs waiting in the box for a while, in fact for 1 year, waiting for the clash to be reset and the new date to be set. So I had the Ernest Wilson dub, and Ernest Wilson is an artist that of course we love for his musical works with the Clarendonians, but also as a solo artist. I have quite a good collection of Ernest Wilson, because I get, every time I went to Jamaica, in fact he was there at Youthman Promotion, and always find work for him, and he always did some dubs for us. So I ended up like looking for ideas. In fact, I was like, okay, I've done all the studio ones that I wanted. I done some other tracks by him. What could I do now to be like creative or original? And in fact, for the Warina West, I had voiced a cover version of Sitting on the Dock of the Bay with him, and really enjoyed doing it, because yeah, he was having fun, in fact, singing something else than Undying Love and Money Worries and all his I Know Myself, which he always sings. When people come to him for Dubplate, they usually ask for the same thing every time. So he had fun doing it, and I say, oh, Ernest, would you do a version of The Temptations, My Girl? He said, yeah, that's one of my favorite songs, and started to sing it out of the art like this. I said, oh, you can really do something. So I found the original rhythm. What we were listening to is the original instrumental of the song, which is a stereo rhythm, in really real stereo. You have some instruments on the left, some instruments on the right, and when he voiced it, he was really happy, because I first did it as a regular version for Heartical, so I've got the regular without calling Irie Crew name, and then I said, oh, it's such a big tune, I want to do that as a custom for the Clash. So I did it over again, and that's how we ended up having this magnificent custom. And that's one of the things I missed maybe in this clash, is that I should have kept that for the Dub Dub and maybe for the final tune, because in the Dub Dub, Irie Crew played some Ernest Wilson regular. They played the I Know Myself, which I have, and lots of songs have the Channel 1 classic Ernest Wilson. And I guess if I had kept that for the Dub Dub and throw that just after they know myself, it would have been quite a blow for them. I was even surprised that after I played that custom, which is top custom for me, they still dare to play the artist on the regular art form in the Dub Dub, but people didn't really notice the irony of the situation, and so yeah, they win the clash.
They win the clash. They win the clash. So after all these clashes we were talking about, we're going to have at least a small look at the trophy collection.
Yeah, man. Oh, yeah.
So of course this is not the full picture, but this is what I found, people. So Heartical, like proven on the battlefield.
Yeah, that's true. It's true. That's the collection in the basement.
So Sergio, out of all the clashes that you had, is there like one moment in one particular clash that stands out to you, like where you say, "Boy, this is my memorable or my most memorable moment"?
Wow, it's hard to pick one, in fact, because there is many memorable moments. I've been telling stories during this interview of moments where you are waiting for this moment so long. Like, when Supersonic dropped his Wayne Smith, Johnny Osborne, Shabba, we didn't win the clash that night, but the fact that I was able to counteract and play my own that has been sleeping in the box for 1 year or more, waiting for the right time to be played, that's a moment. That's what you're working for as a soundman. You're writing dubs, you're looking for rare rhythms, for blah blah blah, and you're waiting for somebody to make that mistake and drop that tune in front of you. When Ransom played his No No No, and I had Yes 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 by Dan Penn, that's really something that's a big fun time for you as a soundman to drop the counteraction. And the same thing happened in several occasions that sounds play a tune and I've got the exact answer, the thing that really matches with what you played. So you said the Guiding Star Clash when they played their Damien Marley and Namin, and I had prepared for that, and when they played the Chronics, and I had prepared for that, so I was that's perfect. That's what I was waiting for, really. And then of course sometimes when you drop a tune that that you are the first one to drop it, and it's always a double effect. Either you're going to take a huge forward because of the exclusivity, or you're going to flop bad because it's too exclusive and people don't know the fucking tune, and they will not react because they are surprised. And that happened to me recently in the Irie Crew Clash. I finished with Emsley Morris. Morris was doing his first dubplate for me, and these Little Things, which is a big tune for me, and people didn't recognize the tune. There was some guys in the crowd that came after and said, "Who did you play? What was the last tune you played? I didn't recognize it." And some of them are people who are into reggae. They are supposed to know reggae, and they didn't know that tune. Emsley Morris, I was shocked because for me it's a big classic tune. It has been recut recently. Alpheus did a version called From Creation, and there is a few more recuts, not a lot, but a few out there. And now people didn't know that tune and were staring at me like, "Why are you playing this now? It's the final tune of the Clash." I could have dropped Rod Taylor, His Imperial Majesty, or something very classic and get a huge forward, in fact. And I choose to play something deep, saying, "Okay, I'm going to play my identity, like this is Heartical. We don't play the tunes that everybody play, and we play something different. And sometimes it pays, sometimes it doesn't pay."
I see.
It has paid when I play the Pablo Moses. It paid when I play the Yabiyu. It played when I play the Baba Boom. It played. It pays when it's a major tune that people already know about and they've never heard it as a special. But when you play something deep and people are not familiar with it, they will just stare at you and discover the tune. They're not going to give you forward straight. So it go. Lesson learned. You have to learn.
When you look back at all of those clashes, do you prefer one-on-one clashes or do you prefer
Yeah,
the
of course, of
organized
course.
sounds?
One-on-one is the best because
Mhm.
one-on-one is when you can dig in the box and you can show your belly, and I would say even long 1v1 because you could have a 1v1 clash where it's 10 minutes rounds. That doesn't make much sense. When you reach a certain level, and that's where we are now, we're talking about having 1,500 plates in the box, and you're talking about a clash where you're going to play 60, 70 dubs. Maybe if you speed juggle the tunes, you're going to reach 80 tunes. That's really peanuts compared to what you have in the box, and it's very frustrating because when you make your selection, you're like sweating, saying, "Oh, I didn't put any John Alt. Oh, I didn't put any Alton Ellis. Oh, I forgot to play this. Oh, I really want to show everything that you have in store." And in
Yeah.
fact, now we reach a level where the way of building up the set list is to say, what are the dubs that I never played yet? In fact, instead of saying I'm going to play the tunes that catch a forward, because I could stick to the same strategy and catch forward with the same dubs every clash. But if you listen to my audios, some people saying, "Oh, Sergio, don't play no new tune." No, I don't play the latest brand new Chronics or brand new this or that. But I play in every clash. You're going to hear some dubs I haven't played before, and that are really new to everybody because in fact nobody has them in the box. So that's something. So obviously most of the times it's going to be foundation because that's what I love the most, and you're going to hear, like I said, Emsley Morris for the first time, or Baba Bob, the Jamaicans, or some other artists like this. But I always make a special effort to get some dubs that have never been played before in my clashes. You will always listen something new at least.
Is there any particular sound that you would like to clash? Maybe that you have clashed already, or is there any sound where you're saying, "Boy,
Okay,
this would
the one,
be
the ones I've clashed already, it's okay because I've clashed them already, and I've clashed quite a few great opponents. We mentioned Supersonic, we mentioned I love Injection, Northern Lights, very good sounds. We didn't mention, but I clashed also with Warrior Sound. I clashed with some more sounds during my sound clash history. But the one that I haven't clashed yet and was supposed to happen at the time is Downbeat. Downbeat, the ruler from New York. I got
wow."
an offer to do this in New York, and that's when the pandemic kicked in. And then they wanted to do it online as a streaming pay-per-view clash. And the guy who kept it kept a pay-per-view clash and lost money. In fact, he wasn't able to really make back the money of this clash he did. So he told me, no, we're going to wait for the pandemic to end and really keep it as a live thing. So I hope that maybe one day we're going to be able to drop that flyer and say, yeah, this is
Wow.
really happening. Because at the time I spoke with Tony Screw from Downbeat, we spoke on the phone, and he was really okay. He said, yeah, I know your sound. I have been listening to some of your audios. You are a sound I would really enjoy clashing because we deal with the same love of the music. You are also somebody who is not cussing on the mic and insulting mothers or calling people for, bad words and stuff. So he was like, yeah, I would take that clash with pleasure. So, and then there was also a promoter in France who could have been interested, but it's the same. The conditions right now in Europe to keep those clashes is not cheap. I mean, Downbeat is not clashing for no small money. I can give you a good deal, but Downbeat will want his bills. So it didn't happen in France neither. There was even at the time the idea of doing it as the Paris Sound Clash 3. In fact, instead of having Irie Crew, it could have been Downbeat at the time. That was one of the ideas. It never went to the point where we really officialized it, but that was one of the offers and proposals that was there. But they preferred to maintain the French aspect of that clash, having a French sound against the French sound because it's the Paris Sound Clash. So makes sense. So that's the one I really would like to do. And of course, Rodigan is like a big teacher for us and somebody that inspired us a lot. So clashing against Rodigan would be really fun as well. But I mean, maybe it's not very humble for us to say Downbeat or Rodigan because they are such big boxes and such legends, but that's something I wouldn't have dared to say maybe a few years ago. When we did that Sir Coxon Youthman promotion Tubbies clash, it taught me that, yeah, there is no man no bigger than no man. So really, you can take any clash, and if you prepare good, and if your opponent accepts the match, anything can happen. And that's the beauty of sound clash business. In fact, anybody can make a big difference one night if he prepares good enough and if he's got the right speech at the right moment. So it's not only money or only because you were there when Ten or so, Dennis Brown and Garnet Silk were alive that you're going to win clashes. In fact, other highlight moments, you were asking me what moments I kept in mind. I could say when I beat Love Injection in the Dub Dub when they were playing their Dennis Brown, because they had their Dennis Brown like saying, hey, Sergio is not going to play Dennis Brown because Dennis died in 99. He started his clash in his song 99. So obviously with those Dennis Brown, we're going to win points in the Dub Dub easy. And I managed to get the points from them by making speeches, because they play Dennis Brown singing Natural Mystic. And I say, oh, you're playing the Crown Prince and he has to sing the songs from the King. What happened to you? What happened to you? You couldn't find no tune from Dennis Brown to voice. You had to voice him singing Bob Marley. People, do you agree with me that Dennis Brown don't need to sing no Bob Marley tune? And if you agree, just put up your hand, and people give me a big forward for that speech. And then I dropped another tune, I don't remember which one, but a real tune that is sing. The artist is the one who wrote the tune, and catch a big forward with that. And I managed to get the point while they were playing Garnet Silk and Dennis Brown in the Dub Dub to secure the Dub Dub. So that's another highlight. Yeah, when you manage to do this, you're really happy. Like winning a point against those type of artists. That's something that make a difference.
So you hear that, people? Do your homework.
Yeah, homework.
You can cut 1,000,001 dub plates, but if you don't do your homework properly, there's a chance that this may not take you too far. So yeah, man, big up yourself on it.
Yes, Papa.
So Sid, you're talking about clashing and experience. If there's any, what would you consider your biggest failure or mistake in a clash, and what did you learn from it?
Wow, there is many mistakes I did, and of course, every time I lose, I consider that I did many mistakes, and that I have to learn from them. I don't know where to start, but there was many moments where you play your dub and you say, oh, I should have kept this for the dub. Oh, I shouldn't have played this. When I did my first clash with Soul Stereo, matter of fact, I played the Yabiyu in the rounds, because I was not sure that people would recognize this tune, Conquering Lion, and know how big it was. So I wasn't confident enough to keep it for the Dub Dub, and I played it to open one round. It catch a huge forward, and of course later on when I reached the Dub Dub and they won the Dub Dub, I was like, oh, if I had kept my Yabiyu for the final tune for the Dub Dub, it would have been such a shock. But at the same time, you cannot rewrite history. So when it happens, it happens. But yeah, that's the same recently with Irie Crew, where I said, oh, I didn't manage the Dub Dub good, which is supposed to be my the part where I'm good at. You know, the Dub Dub is something I specialize in, and really managed to get points from the Dub Dub. And in this case, I wasn't good enough to find the final tune that will really be the nail in the coffin. Sometimes it's like this, and when you're about to press the button to play the tune that the moment you press it, you say, oh shit, I shouldn't have played that. But it's like this, because that's also the beauty of Sound Clash. It's no matter how much you prepare, there is a big part of it which is improvised. In fact, you might have managed to play your first round as you really thought you would do, but as soon as the second round kicks in, you're already adapting to what the guy in front of you has played, or at least that's what you're supposed to do. There is some people who play a playlist and don't change shit, even no matter what the other guys played, and they end up even playing back tunes. We have seen this with Bass Odyssey and Soul Supreme. We have seen this countless times of sounds we are not adapting, but normally you're supposed to adapt to what your opponent is playing. So you're supposed to take tunes out of your playlist because they have been played. You're supposed to bring in tunes because other tunes have been played and you want to answer them with those tunes. And so at the end of the night, when the final parts kick in, usually you're only playing 10% of what you have scheduled, really. You're changing almost all the rounds and that's quite an exercise. It's not everybody can adapt to this and be good at it. So sometimes you're in the right mood and you catch the right ideas and you have to be quick. because nowadays it's speed mixing is the norm. Like people cut the tunes. I was also famous for this, for being the guy who plays the tune long. In fact, I let the tunes play sometimes for 1 minute, 1 minute 30, and people are like, "Wow, that's very long. Normally you should cut." But okay, you have to be proud of your tunes, and normally if your music is good, you can play 1 minute and it's not a problem. But yeah, lots of people consider nowadays that you should cut your tunes like 10 seconds, 15 seconds, 30 seconds, and chop. It's like the more tunes you drop, the best you are. No, it's not my opinion. It's better you play 10 good tunes than 30 regular. Like, it's not my point of view. But yeah, sometimes it has cost me the victory, because I was looking for the specialist aspect of the thing, like to play something that nobody has never played and to dig deep in the box. And yeah, it would have been so much easier to just play a couple regular big Jaro anthems or tunes that everybody knows and catch a forward for the first two notes. But yeah, but I'm proud to say, yeah, when I lose with my box. When I win with my box. I'm not using somebody else's work to get my victories or defeats. That's it.
Everybody knows Hearticle's dub box is not ordinary and very deep. What would you consider your favorite tune in the box?
Wow, there is many favorite tunes in the box. Of course, we have mentioned the Yabiyu, which was like such a mystical encounter with the man Yabiyu himself, with Vivian Jackson, and something that had never been done before. Like the trio, Alton Ellis, Marcia Griffith, Bob Andy, also is an incredible story behind it. And then there is, like as I said, we have like 1,500 dubs over in store. So there is each dub is an history, because as you know, Nash, I'm a dub agent, so I organize a lot of dub sessions. So like I would say 90% of the dubs I have met the artist personally, and I was there sometimes, most of the times, recording with them. So there is incredible stories for each of them, and yeah, amazing experiences. Like yeah, Gregory Isaac sessions. I will never forget my sessions with Gregory. Gregory was a very, very peculiar man with incredible, sense of humor and vibes, and yeah, of course, being able to record with legendary artists like Bonnie Whaler, like too many of them. There is countless experience, so it's hard to say. But yeah, my favorite dub is the next one that I'm going to voice. There is always a new idea in mind, a new thing that you say, "Oh shit, I could do this."
So is there any artist that you had the chance to voice and you missed some opportunity?
Yeah, there has been some artists like this. Like you say, "Oh, I should have used the possibility," but maybe it would have never happened. So in fact, there is no regret, because one story, a famous story, is we are in 2001, I think, or 2002, and we are in a studio doing a dub session with President Brown and some more artists. And I go to the toilets in the studio. It's a studio in La Seine-Saint-Denis, and when I'm in the outside going to the toilets, I see a black guy pass me, and I say, "Jimmy?" He turns his head, and that's Jimmy Cliff. He is in the studio doing some mastering for his new album. I said, "You're real Jimmy Cliff? I thought you were Jimmy Cliff, and I just tried the Jimmy just to see who you." "Yeah, me, Jimmy Cliff." And we start to talk. There is a picture of that encounter. You can find it on my Facebook page, and we chat and we get a good contact. And I'm like, "Wow, Jimmy Cliff! I could ask him for dubs." And yeah, so I asked him, and he said, "Oh, pick my number, call me when you're ready in Jamaica, blah, blah, blah." And I get the number there sitting for like weeks. When I tried to call, I never managed to get nobody. And I say, I should have been smarter. And when I was there, I should have taken to the recording box and voiced anything with him. It would have been such a history, because at the time it was only Bodyguard and a few more, Silverhawk, and only a few songs we were playing. Mighty Crown did it, but I think Mighty Crown did it. Did they have it already in 2002, 2003? I'm not even sure about that. I think maybe they had it, but later on. But yeah, so that was something really epic, and the hype was different, because I think he was just an artist that was so mainstream that people wasn't really looking for him like they look for all the classic foundation artists. And maybe it could have happened that time, but after that, I tried to call that number that he gave me and never get no answer from that. So that's one history. Jimmy Cliff, legendary Jimmy Cliff, and I don't know who else. There is some more legendary artists like this. Of course, I was lucky enough also to share one time a show where there was Alpha Blondie was there, and that's another artist. Alpha Blondie, is the original for the Jerusalem rhythm that everybody is using nowadays, but nobody can play the original artist on the rhythm, which is Alpha Blondie. And so that's something I would have liked to manage to convince him, but every time you ask him about the plate, he would turn you down. Oh, you just brought back a big memory to my head. Prince Buster. I met Prince Buster in London when I was working in London. I worked for a label called Jetstar. Jetstar was like equivalent to VP or Greensleeves, like one of the big labels in London. And I'm there sitting in the waiting room to see Mr. P, Mr. Palmer, the big boss from Jetstar. And there is this guy who enters, and I said, Prince Buster. And he turns, and that's Prince Buster. And I start to speak with him, and get a reasoning. And the minute I said the word dubplate, he said, "Oh, you just mash up my day." I said, "Well, I'm so tired, people. Since I did this thing for Rodigan, every fucking guy I see was a sound dubplate, and I don't want to do dubplate. I'm not interested into that." And he seemed really pissed, like I really had fucked up his vibes, because he was having a good vibes with me. We were talking, like, of course, of the good Scala all days, etc. And he thought I was just a journalist and not a soundman. And when he discovered I was a soundman, he just ran me away, And I said, "Well, that's not a regret, because obviously he would have never done it." I only met, I met a radio guy who has a jingle from Derek Morgan and Prince Buster together, the two of them in combination. But that's the nearest thing. Otherwise, it's only Rodigan who's got those dubs, those two dubs he's got. So there is a few opportunities like this, where you have the artist in front of you, but there is no way he's going to sing for you. So it goes.
So Sergio, let me ask you that: what was the hardest dubplate for you to get in your box?
The hardest dubplate to get in.
Are you willing to share that with us and our viewers?
I'm willing to share, but there is many experiences of waiting for artists for hours and but it wasn't really hard like artists wouldn't do it. Sometimes you have to reason with the artist to get him to do the thing that you want. That's the hardest part, is sometimes to get the artist to change his lyrics, to change the way he voiced the dub, because he wouldn't do it, or he doesn't feel confident. So sometimes that's the experiences you get. Like Dandy Livingstone is an artist who hasn't done so many dub plates, but has done a few. I think Sentinel was the first song to get a dub from Dandy Livingstone, and when I contacted him, I had to really reason with him, because he was like, "No, I'm not interested in doing dubs, it's not something I did, but I'm not going to do it again." And then he agreed to do a dub for me, and was like, "Oh, you're lucky, it's just true, you have a good vibes. I don't know, I feel it like this." And since then he did a few more. I think Trigger Fingers got him, and a few more songs I've got Dandy Livingstone now, but that was something quite unusual at the time, and you really had to reason, because it was not the money. It was not the money that would make a difference. It's your vibes, the fact that they feel good with you. Obviously, I didn't even do a program. I didn't find no orders for him or nothing. I just did my dub, and that's all, because it's something that was so unusual. It's the same with Harrison Stafford. Harrison Stafford, the leader of Groundation. Groundation is a reggae group from the US, and the guy isn't doing any dubs normally. He told me he did one dub for a song from Hawaii, which is a song from his friend, but that's a song that's not even clashing. Can't remember the name, but it's the same. He said, "Okay, I will do a dub for you because you're a journalist and you interviewed me so many times, and we have a good feeling." And it brings back a big memory to me. You were talking about dubs you could have done and maybe could have happened. That's another one is B.T. McLean, of course. Everybody's like, "Oh, B.T. McLean, we want B.T. McLean." And there's only a few sounds out there who have B.T. McLean. Every time the list is getting longer, but I'm not part of it yet. But originally was Downbeat and Rodigan. Then you had Stone Love. Then you had Sturgarth. Then you had Love Injection, managed to get some. Then you had some more songs, a few more songs. LP now it's got some BT McLean, but it's only a few songs. And I was lucky enough to do a show with BT in 2005 when he did that album On Bond Street, the Pekins album that really bossed back his career in the sound system and reggae industry, singing over classic Duke Reid rhythms. I get booked in Switzerland by Boss Hi-Fi to do a show with BT McLean. So I had him in front of me. And at the time, maybe if I had asked him to voice dubs, that's something he would have considered, because everybody was not rushing him to do dubs like nowadays. Nowadays, he knows that he cannot say yes to one song because it's going to be 200 songs after that's going to ball. And every time I meet him, I still try to convince him. And every time he says, "Oh, I will." Last time he said, "I will consider it." I was like, "Oh, I'm touching."
We're one step further.
Yeah, but it never went any further. I just said I will consider it, because at the time I had won the clash against Soul Stereo, and I was like the defending champion for Paris. I said, okay, you've reached a level where it makes sense for me to voice. He doesn't want to voice for everybody, but for people he knows and he rates. So he knows me because, since 2005 I've been interviewed him for the magazine a few times. We've done the shows, and another big thing I did for him indirectly was that there was a French guy called Guillaume Bougard in France, Tabouan. He's the guy who deals with Sly and Robbie business in Europe. And Sly and Robbie called him saying, "We've heard about this youth, BT McLean. We want to work with him. Can you find a link?" And it was me who told BT, "Hey, Sly and Robbie are looking for you. Contact them and maybe you can work together." And after that, as you know, BT McLean did some big works with Sly and Robbie. I'm not saying I have nothing to do with them working together, just the fact that I told him Sly and Robbie are really looking for you seriously. Oh, okay, nice. Good to know. Okay, I will contact them. And it ended up being the story that you know. So yeah, maybe I could one day be the proud owner of a BT McLean Dubplate. So far, that's not the case. Yeah, you see, when we start to talk about opportunities like this and possibilities, there is a lot of them.
But that's what we are here for. That's what we are really here for. So this is a very
Oh yeah,
important
another
part of
one.
the
Oh, there is another one, another big story. I went to Ghana. That was 2009. I was in Ghana, in Africa, doing some traveling with some friends, and I had in mind to go check Rita Marley, because Rita Marley lives in Ghana, and I knew that the only person I had heard a dub by Rita Marley played before that was Wyclef, and Wyclef had sent his bodyguard, Beast. That's his bodyguard. His name is Beast. He sent Beast to Ghana to voice Rita Marley. So that's how he got the dub at the time. And I was saying, like, that's something still quite exclusive. There is only one song was Rita Marley on dub. Since then, a lot of sounds, including Eviama, voiced dubs with Rita Marley, and it's not such an exclusive thing again. But at the time, it was quite exclusive. And I was in Ghana, and I said, I'm going to voice Rita Marley in Ghana. I'm going to find her and do it. So I find the place where she lives. She's I would say a royal member of a village. She's like the queen of that village where she lives, and they have a studio called Studio One, as a matter of fact. And I went there and I knocked on the door, and I was there is one girl who is from the family of Rita who talked to me, and we agreed that I could do the interview, of course, for the magazine, but also maybe do the dub. And she was supposed to call me, so I was waiting. Then we embarked in a trip in Ghana, and we spent like 3 weeks in Ghana, going up and down and visiting the whole country, but never got the call from Rita Marley. When I went back to France, like 1 week after I returned to Paris, I get a call. It was Rita Marley saying, "Okay, me ready now, you can come." I said, "Yeah, but I'm in Paris now, I'm not in Ghana anymore. Okay, can we do it?" And it never happened. So that's another, and now maybe but she has some serious health problems. So I'm not sure she can sing again like she would have sung like a few years in 2008 when I was there in Ghana. So that's another opportunity that never happened. So it goes.
So it goes. So Sergio, as a sound that is in the business for over 20 years, what advice would you give to young sounds?
My advice is in 2022 more than ever is have your own identity, be creative, because years ago you could carbon copy boxes and dubs, and it was not a big problem because only the experts who listened to the cassettes and tapes and were studying this art would notice that in fact you were playing Bass Odyssey or Kilimanjaro anthems. And matter of fact, enough of the clashes I lost in my early part of my career was against songs who were just playing back tunes that were big regulars that catch forwards easily. Nowadays, everybody knows everything, and it's so easy to access access. All the audios are there. The next day you do a clash, the next day everybody's got the audio and studies your box. So obviously, my biggest advice is have your own identity, create something. No need to voice 20 Mad Cobra or 20 Bounty. You just need one or two really exclusive dubs from these guys, and something that will stand out because you alone play this, and it's your rhythm, or it's your idea, or it's something, and then that will be your ID. Like really, yeah, people will know you for that.
I fully agree with that.
Yeah, you get more popularity out of one exclusive dub than out of 200 regulars.
I fully agree with that, except for one thing, and that is regarding Bounty. So when it comes to Bounty, because this is like the Bounty station, so Bounty and
Okay.
then enough.
No, you can have 200 bounties, but it's better you have 200 original bounties better than 200 regulars. You can agree on that. And
Well,
of
then
course,
you
there is
need to go for 400 bounties in total, right?
yeah. But if I
Big
have
up
the
the
choice,
general.
yeah, big up the General Bounty Killer. But every time I have the opportunity to voice some of these artists, I'm always saying, "Oh, what can I do that hasn't been done, or what can I do that will be a bit different at least?" Because they have done so many dubs. It's the same we did with Freddie McGregor and make him voice this cover version of Wild World, Cat Stevens' Wild World. That everybody plays the Maxi Priest tune. For me, it's a nice tune, but nothing compared to Freddie McGregor version on Studio One. And nobody had never done this to this Freddie McGregor. And imagine the amount of dubs that Freddie McGregor has seen over his career. It's countless. He has seen over 2,000 times, 2 million times Big Sheep, 2 million times this and that. Everybody goes for the same tune, key to the city, blah, blah, blah. And so try to be original, please. Try to bring something new to the table, because that's what we need. And as a Sound Clash fan myself, I will always give the biggest forwards to people who are creative, who bring something new. It's so easy to just go cut the top 10 tunes and get the latest Damian Marley or the latest blah, 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 and just spend your money to get something that, in fact, everybody's going to get next week. It has little interest, in fact. For me, nowadays, at least. No. To each his own.
Understandable. Sergio, what are the future goals of your sound and your label?
The future goals is to keep up with the Clash culture alive. We have seen people saying Clash is dead, blah blah blah. We know that Clash is not dead, and in France is absolutely not dead. If you have been watching the French scene, we have more clashes now than the previous years. Maybe it's a side effect of the pandemic, but all of a sudden, lots of people are getting back to the clash. So we did this Irie Crew article, was maybe the first clash in real life after the pandemic. But since then, there are already been a few, and there is some more coming, and it's a very good news. So we hope to be able to keep this Sound Clash scene alive. And for the label, the next step is releasing the new rhythm. The latest release we had was the Universal Tribulation, a tribute to Gregory Isaacs' classic Universal Tribulation song with new artists on it. And now we're working on a new rhythm with some new artists on it. And I hope I can be able to release this by 2022, because that's the plan. So yeah, and then we will move on to the next rhythm, because I always have a new rhythm working. So I've got like 5 or 6 rhythms ready, and it just takes time because we're an independent label. So of course I press my records, I sell them myself, I do all the distribution, all the digital promotion, everything I do it myself. So I'm a one-man army for this thing, and it takes a lot of energy and time. And I'm also a family man now, and blah, blah, blah. So yeah, but the energy is there, and the pleasure to put out new music is there. So expect some new music from Heartical label pretty soon.
You hear that, people?
You hear that?
Wicked. So Sergio, that was the final question of our interview.
No, wait. Like one more. In your opinion, in your opinion, what's the most underrated sound in Europe?
Underrated sound in Europe? Wow, that's a serious question.
Nash, you never told me about this one.
No, no, there is overrated sounds in Europe that I could say a few names, but I won't because I don't want to piss people. But there is a lot of overrated sounds, but underrated sound. That's something. As a dub agent, I know some boxes that are really crazy, and these guys have never clashed. You're one of them. Problematix. I know that you have some crazy dubs there. No, I must say it. And for years, I would have said Trigger Finger because I was cutting all the dubs for Trigger Finger. Not all the dubs, of course. He does a lot of his dubs himself by now. But at the time, I was cutting some. Each time I get something rare and hard to find or Treasure Isle, they were there. Trigger Finger and Treasure Isle were always there cutting dubs. And I would say, yeah, these guys can really surprise people when they come out of the jungle. All of a sudden, people are going to say, shit, these guys are really loaded. And it happened. In fact, Trigger Finger really showed the people, showed the world that they were loaded, and now everybody knows that. Big Trigger Finger or Treasure Isle as well. Treasure Isle, in fact, during the pandemic, did a few live streams and displayed the box, and people were like, wow, okay, this guy is loaded, in fact. So that's good. Yeah. So which other songs like this could I say? There is some more, but I don't know. I don't even know if they want me to say that they are loaded like this. Because no, it's true. It's true. It's like a strategy nowadays. So there is some people who are building their boxes and they want to have this surprise effect that one day they're going to play and boom. Oh yeah, next one was Rampage. Rampage Ipoa from my friend Mark. Mark is the same. Mark for I don't know how long, but it could be 15 years or something that. Every time I have something hard to find, Mark is there and link me and say, yeah, Sergio, I want to get that dub, Mark Rampage. And now, slowly but surely, you're going to hear about his dub box and say, oh, Rampage Power has got some interesting dubs in there, not the things that everybody's playing. So, yeah, that's good. That's good. So Rampage is the next outsider. Watch for Rampage box.
Yeah, man, I know Mark for years, so you.
Yeah, Mark is a really nice guy. In fact, it's funny because you are from Germany, so maybe you remember in Reading magazine there was a small comic strip called Poopa Cadbury.
Yes.
You remember Poopa Cadbury?
Yes, of course.
It's a comic strip with always very interesting, funny jokes about the sound industry. Like, you don't have no crocodile in the intro. You can't talk to me. Blah, blah, blah. And stuff like that would make me laugh, really. And I was, who is this guy, Poopa Cadbury? And one time I get a mail, hey, hello, this is Poopa Cadbury. I really love Heartical Sound. I've been following your sound for years. Is this a joke? My nephew called Mark A has got a song called Rampage Power. Would you accept to cut some dubs with him? He's looking for the link of this and that. And that's how I get in contact with Rampage. Like, I don't know, 15 years ago or more, I get this message. Poopa Cadbury is like a family from Mark. I don't know if Mark is watching us, he will confirm, but that's all. The first contact I've got with Mark A was through Poopa Cadbury, like this. Yeah, man, no regular thing.
one day, definitely. So there are so many sounds in the pipeline that we are going to feature on this platform, and a lot of names that you mentioned here, like Trigger Finger, are going to be our guest very soon. So Mark, big up yourself if you're watching this. Big up DJ Showcase as well, Basic Image family. Yeah, man, I cut a lot of dubs with them. So big up all the serious and reliable and honestly
top agents.
Man, for real. They do a lot of work, people. You see nowadays, like you described, Sergio, 15, 18 years ago, it was way different. Nowadays, everything is public. You have like people sending out their lists, and it's like doing grocery shopping. You say, oh, I can take 2 tomatoes and a couple of whatever. It's like, oh, I take 2 bounties. Of course, you can never have enough bounty. We said it already. But I take 2 beanies, and it changed. I don't want to say it for the worse or for the better. I just want to say it changed.
There is good and there is bad in everything. Exactly. But I remember when we started doing this dub agent thing, it was something new. We were sending a newsletter to people, and I remember there is some interesting stories. Matter of fact, again, we can mention Evi Ama. Rafa can confirm this story. I went to Italy maybe in 2002 or something like this to play in a place called Trepuzzi. And I'm playing my dubs. I play dubs all night. And there is this guy who comes to me and say, wow, that's amazing. How long have you been around to play dubs for hours like this? I say, I just started in 99. He said, but how is it possible in 3-4 years you managed to build such a big box? I say, yeah, I'm a dub agent. In fact, I organize dub sessions. So when I get work for the artists do some dubs for me in return because I'm not taking no money from them. So that's like my pay is to get some dubs. So, oh, that's very interesting. This guy was Rafa from Eviama. And you know that Eviama became one of the biggest dub agents.
One of the biggest in Europe.
I literally explained him the basic way to build a box, and I did it too good because now Heavyama is one of the biggest boxes and of the biggest dub agents in Europe. I technically, literally explained him that you could get free dubs if you find work for artists. That's something that wasn't obvious at the time for most of the people. I remember having big debates in France with Sounds, including Soul Stereo, about that. Like they say, oh no, you cannot be a big sound if you're only getting free dubs like this. That's not going to work because there is some artists you will never get to. You need to spend your money to get some big things. And I was saying, okay, maybe I will never get, I don't know, 20 Buju Chronics combination or blah blah, but I can build the box which is solid enough to go to war and even bring back trophies, and it happened. So you can work. That there is a way to work. It's not only money will get you through the game. And yeah, of course, the industry has changed a lot, and nowadays there is tons of dub agents, but at the time there was only a few. We were Rootsman in England, me in France, Soul Stereo also doing the dub agent in France, and a few more. And then City Lock came in, Eviama came in. They brought it even to another level because they were doing like a crazy amount of sessions at the same time, while I was doing like one session a week or 2 sessions, not more. No simultaneous session because I was physically there in the studio for every dub that was done. And I remember it's the same. We helped Massive B to come play in Paris in 2001, I think, was when they came to Paris, and with Puro Banton. And when Bobby Conders saw that I had some links with some foundation artists, he was really interested, and he told me, yeah, in New York I can get any Bounty Killer, Elephant Man or whatever easy, but I don't know where to find this and that artist. So we started to voice some dubs for Massive B like this, because even people in New York needed some solid foundation links. He wanted to voice Rod Taylor, he wanted to voice Abyssinians. I was things that are kind of regular nowadays. At the time was rare, and when you had those links, even big songs were happy to have somebody reliable to send to the studio. I remember voicing U-Roy for Massive B. Can you imagine that? So you'd say, okay, U-Roy is so easy to find, anybody can have U-Roy in his box nowadays. But at the time, it was not everybody who could have a link like this, and most important thing that you would say, I want him to say this on that rhythm, because lots of links would send you dubs like anything that the artist want to voice. They're not going to do. You want a certain rhythm, you want a certain lyrics. That's when our service is really reliable.
And this is exactly a very important point that you're mentioning there. There are a lot of dub links, yes, but the ones that really work with the sounds, like I have this lyrics in mind, that don't give you only the product, take it or leave that there are very few, very few, and
true.
Yeah, man, big up, as I said before, all the real and reliable dub links. It's a hard work that the dub link agents are doing, and yeah, man, pick them up, definitely.
Yeah, man.
Oh, Sergio.
Yeah, man, it was a pleasure. So there is a lot of stories that can be told, but yeah, I think we managed to talk about a few things tonight.
Definitely,
so happy.
Definitely.
It was a pleasure to be with Nash, because it's been years we are in contact, but I think it may be the first time we spend so much time face to face and seeing each face. So that's cool. Lots of mails have been exchanged. But,
yes.
Nice time, and Jahcage, pleasure being on the show. And
really appreciate your time. And all your stories.
Definitely. And I think we can easily make a part few. So look out for that. So
yeah, there is a few clashes we didn't talk about. In fact, in the list, we talked about a few clashes, but there is a few more. Yeah, cool.
So people, that's it. Episode 3 of Dubs PON DUBS is done. Please check our social media channels. Check out our Facebook page. Check our YouTube page for the next guest that we will announce very soon. And yeah, man, as we said before, that's it. Episode 3 of Dubs PON DUBS is done. Sergio, it was a pleasure having you. And yeah, man, up to the next.
Big up.
Yeah, man, Sergio, bless up and big up again.
Long live the Dubs PON DUBS scene. Dubs can done.
One last thing you could give us is what we'll probably include in the comments. You were telling us about the your website where we could find some of these.
Exactly. That's a very important point.
The Facebook, the YouTube, yeah. You can check my YouTube, youtube.com/Mr. Heartical, and there you can find a lot of the customs and also most of my Clash audios, because I'm not shy about the Clash audios. I don't hide them. So I think 90% of my audios are available there. So it's very easy to check if you want to hear some unleaded special.
So you hear that, people? Check out the YouTube channel, check out the label, and as we said, this is it. Episode 3 is done. And Sergio, it was a pleasure.
Pleasure.
Big
Keep
up.
up the good work. Bless.
Bless up.
Bless up.
Prum, prum, prum.